Oh, Bill. Who's that, Connor?
Yes, Mary, she won't sit up here.
Forgot.
Boy, have you driven north on three? And
I haven't.
oh my God, they did a beautiful
How
job.
far do they go, up to Richmond or?
All the way up, yeah, all the way up to Route 12.
Okay.
Nice job.
Evening, Mr. Connor.
How are you?
What's your husband's name? Was he a teacher, your husband? I had him in high school.
Crusher,
What's that?
crusher. Crusher.
Crusher?
That's what they called him.
I don't remember that, but was he he was a coach too, right? He coached wrestling or basketball?
Well, football, baseball.
That's what I meant, football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At
Okay.
some time or another, he coached virtually any sport that you can name.
Sure. Yeah.
Happened. Yeah. When did you graduate?
In 1980.
Okay. So that would have been after my kids went through.
Yeah.
Okay.
Coach Swanee, I think we call him.
Okay, that could be. Uh-huh.
He was always,
You play ping pong with him?
no, he was always smiling. He was always a happy person though.
Oh, yeah.
You know, joking around and
Mhm.
that's what I remember. It's been a long time. That's what I
Tell
remember.
me.
Was any of these work today?
Oh, they're all fixed now, they work.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
What did we figure out?
Figured out we had to put them all on separate mixing channel,
Yeah.
separate board, so.
Okay, good.
By the way, sir, I don't think I ever thanked you for the work you did replacing the,
Culvert?
the,
No.
is that what you call the pipe that goes through
Yeah,
in the ditch?
yeah,
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
When they were resurfacing the road,
Uh-huh, sure.
excellent job.
Thanks. I didn't do it, but the guys did it. They're the brains of the outfit.
Well, I know.
I just-
But it happened,
Yeah.
and, I just said something to Rick Mack, and he said, we'll take care of it, Marty, and, you know.
Yeah.
And it happened.
Well, it's nice you can make it, Jen.
So not only do I have to take it from you from the trustees, I have to take it from you too, huh?
No, I need it in love. Are you going to Springfield?
Yeah, when is that? November 10th or something?
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. It's gonna be a quick meeting? What's on the agenda? Did you laugh?
Yeah, it's not gonna be cool. It's not gonna be quick. Hi, Colin.
What'd you do to your leg?
I had foot surgery.
We have gas meters. What do we need a gas meter for?
guys gab, I gab. You don't gab. Life in general. Smells like our October festival. I know. The hay. Oh, yeah.
The hay. Guess where that's going?
Oh, hey, did we ever find that one sheet for the, I forgot.
Yeah.
Okay.
For the town fund, yeah.
Gee, the German band coming tomorrow?
Yeah.
And beer and wine.
What do you serve on that day?
He likes to make the ladies happy.
It's usually
Yeah.
bratwurst and something else.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Sauerkraut.
Sauerkraut.
Yeah, it's good. Oh, God, I know.
German potato salad.
I know, that's what I told her. I says, we weren't going, Jan was sitting at our table. I said, yeah, we're not going to this, Marvello's or this. And then I said, brats. I said, I don't like brats. That's what we're having tomorrow.
I know.
Yeah, we got that pork around too.
Yeah. I get your message, I just need to.
I figured after your week.
Yeah, my wine I'll be having.
I'm gonna-
We're having
I'm
our
gonna-
wine.
I'm
Whatever
gonna
you want.
Your wine.
Have my wine.
That's not good.
Wine.
Go on.
Oh, I was thinking about you.
Right, there's nobody better to speak on that.
So Dan, skiing is out this winter?
I never got into snow skiing. I water skied when I was a kid.
You're like cross country, that's funny.
No, I can hurt myself with snow skiing. This, I'll tell you, this thing is, it's really amazing. I had this huge bump on my foot. Cut that off. I was under for over 2 hours.
Wow.
No pain. Nothing.
Yeah, so you don't know where you're at, it's like, whoa, when is the marijuana plant open? I did some of that medicinal stuff.
Mchenry's supposed to get at least 2, maybe 3.
Works for me. What? Two or what? I hope it doesn't cause problems.
Dispensary. Well, you know where it's gonna cause problems? It's because I don't think they have a measurement that they come to that this is, you're impaired.
Right.
Now, I just read today that they have some breath thing that will measure the amount of marijuana.
Will, okay.
I don't know, I think a lot of people are gonna get,
They're gonna go wild with it.
Try it. Well, that's what happened in Colorado when I first went there, but that seems to have settled down a little bit, so. But the money they're generating in Colorado, they're doing all that.
I've said this for years, you're not gonna stop drugs, you're not gonna stop prostitution, it's the oldest industry in the world. Legalize it, and then you can govern it and tax it.
Like Nevada.
Yeah, and people, if somebody's that hard up there, I watched a thing in Nevada, and they were talking about the Mustang and the cost of that, you have to be kidding me. Anybody that hard up will pay that much money for 15 minutes. They changed it. 2 hours.
First time I went to Las Vegas, kids were like
I wanna see how things go.
12, 13, 14, we had camper, and we stayed on the strip. And they have these magazine racks all over.
in particular here
And we're pulling out the mags and taking them back to the thing and reading, you know. I was paying attention, I thought they were like informational.
Oh.
What would they get? At the table, it's like, yeah, oh my God. Get these out of here. Your son's are gonna be calling for.
$200.
Yeah. He did. I sent this magazine to pick up his delivery.
And the conversation.
Advertise it like, hey, Jim, magazine, like Life magazine.
Oh, The first time I absolutely hated it. I was out in nice. And I won an award.
But you know, I didn't use the bats, so I'm sure it's.
Cam and I both got to go. They paid everything. They gave me $200 to throw into these machines that just took it without even saying thank you. But that was a lot more fun. I drank less when I was out there than I did when I was at home.
I didn't see my sister.
Yeah, I was just, well, we had a complimentary. So you could go in there and it's all of this free.
Like, see, I never knew when I got phone
They'd have
calls.
these game rooms, they'd have it all set up, the drinks were all on the counter. But, that was a lot
Our
different.
doctor says that.
We saw
it's sick this
shows.
fall.
Okay.
Each one of them always had this, like, amusement park. A lot of this. Best of all.
Not to wait. My husband wanted this.
I hate losing one.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I was.
We're gonna need your autograph.
And I just got over it last week. It's coming out.
Staples out today.
Tell you, I was kind of worried. Oh my God, you want that in? There's probably.
Oh, that's what it is, okay.
It's good. Yeah, I got the staples up. He says, how's the pain? I said, there's no pain.
I didn't have to put an accessory area.
Question for you, put out more words. You got it up there? What are your operations?
Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, that's what, I was thinking the same thing. Perfect. Thank you.
He was coming in last minute. You know, there's certain days and check on those. I don't know. Maybe if you got rid of it. I guess. I don't know if you can ever do it. Try it.
We do it, no? Or no? Okay.
You can have them.
Say which piece of rap?
I did. That's actually a really good time.
I bet it is.
You got the
That was the week before. So.
sign-in sheet?
How are you?
Sam?
Oh, okay. That's it.
I said it was kind of direct
Oh, I don't know, big time, huh? Baxter.
You know what I mean? Just like out of wow. So we just stopped the car. It was actually, it was kind of funny. It's cool. You never know. I mean, no. You don't have.
But now I'm looking at all of them.
Never heard either of those.
Yeah, I missed it. Heavy metal,
Country is the opposite side of the spectrum, huh?
Well, I just looking at marriage. It's trying to do. This is one that's, can you do that?
The list tells you it's different than the.
Which one do you want me to read?
You're gonna read this one, but this is different than the.
Oh, I see. That's what it says. Okay, but this year.
Got the brush.
I had to make a change.
generally. Yeah, that one, correct. Well, that one's the same. General Bridger Commander.
Oh, okay. Mine is different.
It's different because what happened is it was in the packet. So that's, so you read this one.
Mine is okay.
So this is
I'm not writing up here. I'm three numbers. I got it.
no.
Really not doing
That's what he says. But road should change. Correct.
So he can read the black numbers. Yes. So you read the black numbers.
Exactly.
Okay, time the hour is 7 o'clock, let's call the meeting to order. We'll do the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk, if you could call the roll of the board.
Trustees Anderson.
Here.
Rakestraw.
Here.
Wojcicki.
Here.
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 Supervisor Adams.
Here.
All-O'Connor.
Thank you. Sheet. Okay, next is public comment. This first public comment is limited to 3 minutes. The first one I have on the list is Julianne Thomas.
Julian Thomas, Wonder Lake. Thursday of last week, there was a Facebook post by Mr. Anderson, and his words were, by far, most of the freeloaders are not poor people. I took this very personally because he was calling me a freeloader and saying that unfortunately I'm not poor. And that there's 1,000 rides that went to 33 different restaurants and 2,000 rides to the township. Well, first of all, my question is, what do you consider a freeloader? And I deserve to ask you that question because you are calling me personally, a bus rider, a freeloader. And what do you consider poor? Could you live on $13.44 a month to pay your rent, your gas, your electric, your trash, your water, and buy food? Because that's what I live on now. I went from working 3 jobs and making $3,500 a month to getting sick, having to spend all my savings while I waited for Social Security disability to kick in. So, sorry, I'm poor. And I am not a freeloader because I would much rather be working. You're also saying that because we have to ride the bus to get places, that the rides that went to restaurants, you're saying that us freeloaders and us poor people should never leave our house. We should sit in the house constantly. And I'll tell you about my day. I wake up in pain, I cry. I lay in bed till about noon and cry. Because I can't work anymore. And I would be giving anything to be working. So you're saying that we shouldn't go to restaurants. And for the rides to the township, well, let's see. Rides to the township include the food pantry, where we can go and get food, the senior center, where seniors can go and have activities and actually get out of their house, and then, of course, to the township, when we need advice or if we need some help, or just to talk, because they are very nice here to talk to. And they understand more of what we're going through than you guys do. I, by the way, take the bus to doctor's appointments, physical therapy appointments. Yes, I've gone to the library, but that's a terrible thing. And I go to a class with independent living to try to learn to get into the workforce. But every time I get close to that, I fell down my stairs and hurt myself pretty bad, or I have been having problems with my blood pressure, so I fall. So unfortunately, I have not been able to find a job yet. But I am trying. I just want to know, I just don't understand, what do you consider a freeloader and somebody who's poor?
Thank you. Next, we have a Jamie Rouse.
Jamie Rouse, Mchenry. Good evening, Mchenry Township. I was on the township website looking at the information there as I thought about appealing my tax assessment when I came across an independent auditor's report for the last fiscal year on the Supervisor's Freedom of Information portal. Since cost and savings have been quite the topic lately, I wanted to know where we stood as a township. Plus, I saw that it was on the agenda this month. Allow me to read from the report summary. Mchenry Township has kept the tax levy flat for 6 consecutive years, starting in 2012 through 2017. In 2018-2019, Mchenry Township reduced tax levies by 10% through a property tax abatement. All Mchenry Township taxpayers, without the need to apply for the abatement, received this abatement. In 2019-2020, Mchenry Township has approved a 10% property levy decrease. Mchenry Township continues to manage its finances with well-thought-out budgeting and planning. The township maintains a balanced budget and has always practiced the financial philosophy that they need to manage the taxpayers' monies as resourcefully as possible. As part of this philosophy, the township does not take out bonds to pay their bills or purchase equipment. The township believes that they should stay within their income levels as not to further compound their taxpayers' property taxes with additional interest charges to fund operations. The reason I wanted to bring this up was twofold. First, the flat tax levy and the decrease in tax levy the last 2 years is great. That is what us residents want. A good look at what township really needs to function and perhaps some responsible changes to help reduce the tax levy. There was no elimination of services, and most township residents did not even feel township services reduced. The second is the part about the township practice of taking care when spending the monies it receives. No mention of nepotism, patronage, or outright theft that I have heard insinuated at past meetings. I would appreciate it if trustees could, in the future, keep their conspiracy theories off the public record and stop disparaging a township that has always worked with respect to its constituents. I also wanted to once again mention what the role of the trustee is. You are elected public servants. Everything you do in the name of this township, do you really have the public interest in mind? Do you even enjoy what you're doing? I have served on volunteer boards in the past, and the meetings have always been pleasant and, dare I say, fun. These board meetings have become a circus, and from my view, the township has become a hostile workplace. Is this the life you want to lead? Is this the legacy that you want to leave? Please change your courses of action, or as I have recommended before, resign from the board. Also, if anyone is curious, we decided not to appeal our assessment. The information meeting that the assessor's office held was very, very helpful. Thank you.
Okay, that's all I have that signed up. Is there anybody else that would like to speak yet before I close? Okay, none being heard, I'm going to move on. All right, first item, yes.
There's 4 things that I want to discuss here tonight. I don't know exactly where to place them on the conversation here tonight. and maybe a couple of them might have to go into executive session. Well, I'd like to have some conversation about what's happened to the out properties. We had a little executive session about that. We never really got back to what the report was we had on that. And then I also have concerns.
Can you speak in the microphone?
I also have concerns about the lawsuit for the road district. Will those two items have to go into executive session?
I believe they both would, yes.
Okay. And then I'd like to talk about the special meeting resolution, and then get into the ethics ordinance that we have for Mchenry Township. So should that be at board members' comment, or where do I get into the agenda on that?
I guess those would be board members' comments.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
All right, let's move on then. Review of the regular Mchenry Township Board minutes held on September 12th. That was our last regular meeting. Is there any corrections to those minutes anybody has?
Yes,
Yes, Mr. Beer.
once again, it isn't accurate.
Okay, what is inaccurate?
The whole thing is not accurate. Okay, we can start with the first sentence. Somehow, I stated that the county put out a letter in the Northwest Herald.
Okay, Mr. Beer, you're on the wrong minutes. We're doing September 12th.
Well,
They're last month's minutes, I just said that, September 12th.
okay, I don't have them.
You should have them. They were sent in your packet.
They're attached to the
Okay.
July 11th meeting
Okay.
minutes, okay?
So anyways, right now we're discussing September 12th minutes. Are there any corrections to those minutes?
Did you read that?
Hearing none, I'm looking for a motion to approve these minutes. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the September 12th, 2019 minutes. Do we have a second? I'll second. Seconded by Mr. Rakestraw. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye?
Aye.
Any nays? None heard. Okay. Now we're moving on to the minutes from July 11th, Mr. Beer, that you want to discuss.
Yeah, the comments from me are inaccurate again.
All right.
They've been revised, they're
Okay.
a little more accurate, but they're still wrong.
Okay, Mr. Beer, this is between you and the clerk, apparently. Clerk, would you like to comment on this?
I'm not finished.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were finished.
We came over here and we listened to it, along with Debbie McCready. There were certain admissions the clerk made of things that were inaccurate. He said he would change them.
Okay.
That hasn't been done. For example, the first sentence, that I stated the county put out a letter in the Northwest Herald stating the transportation services available in the county. I never said the county. I said the 4 county board members for Mchenry Township. Okay? Now, that was just one of the changes that the clerk said he would make, but I don't see them here.
Okay.
That last, that's kind of a quotation, the last sentence. And
It was changed on the revised version. That was the first version. The revised version had that change.
guess we have to do it again.
No, let's let the clerk, would you please comment on this, since you're the one that does the minutes?
I'm sorry,
Do
what?
you have any comments on this, since you're the one that does the minutes?
Only that you came in, Debbie, you and I went over it, we went over the film, there was only 3 things that you wanted changed, and I changed those 3. I have it written word for word, which you had minor changes in. The main thing was those 3 things with the letter. The one was we had stamp instead of scam. Everything that you wanted and you approved before you left, I changed in the revised version. Furthermore, Debbie called you and asked you to come in, you never showed up. She emailed you the 3 different versions of it, asked you which one you would approve. You never called her, never came back. Let me finish. You never called her, never came back. You're doing this on purpose just to make me look bad because I'm in support of the bus program. That's the only reason you're doing this. Admit it.
Okay, let's keep personal feelings out of this.
That's pretty difficult.
If you're going to make verbatim quotations.
I'm not gonna make it,
Then take
make
them
it
out.
word for word. It's
Well,
not
I'm
gonna
tired-
happen.
I'm
The minutes
tired
are
of
not
your
word for word.
editorializing
Don't
what I'm
interrupt me.
saying.
Excuse me. Mr. Ver has got the floor at the moment.
You're interrupting me, okay? Is it that hard to listen to a 3-minute colloquy and write it down? Instead of editorializing and making up words?
There were no words made up.
Yeah, there was, you said
No, there wasn't.
stamp.
That was changed, Steve, it's
Yeah,
changed.
okay, that was the first go-around,
Okay, fine.
okay? I never used the word scam twice, but you got it in here twice.
You're the one that told me.
Change the letter. It wasn't a letter from the county, okay? The county did
Okay.
not issue anything.
What
4 members of the county board issued the
Okay,
letter.
what if we change that to 4 members of the county board issued a letter? Okay, we could change that, Steve, I believe, then what else? Is there anything else you'd like changed?
Yeah, the last sentence.
The last sentence, what, being what?
Well, it should be obvious what I'm referring to.
We can strike it if you want.
I said that we were given false information about the gasoline originally. That was used by the bus service, okay?
Oh, what is wrong in the last sentence that?
Because he's editorialized and said, I am accusing the administration for
Oh.
giving us false information.
so
It
you would
doesn't
like-
even make sense.
You would like that last sentence stricken, is that what you're saying?
No, I'd like it to say exactly what I said. That we were given false information
Does it-
about the
does-
gasoline
Okay,
expenditures.
the sentence before that says that, does it not?
I never said that a scam was going on at that particular point. I said we were given false information. You agreed it was incorrect, that's why it was changed, right? It was changed from 12,500 to 19,000, right?
No, that's not what I said. It's Steve, we paid $12,500 for gas. Then you asked for an accounting of the actual gas used.
Yeah.
And
which
then I
should have
did
been-
that. No, we paid $12,500. That was our agreement with the road district. That was an accurate figure, that's what we paid. But you are correct, it was more than that, but that's not what we paid. When we did an actual accounting line for line, we found out it was more than that. You're correct about that. But that's not what we paid. I gave you the correct information to begin with, the amount that the township paid the road district for the gas.
GPS signal lost.
If I gotta admit, I'm a little bit confused. Was the figure that you gave us, excuse me, correct?
Could you use the mic,
Okay,
please?
I'd be happy to, because I've said this 100 times.
The figure I gave you originally, $12,500 for the purchase of gasoline for the buses, was the correct dollar figure. That was our intergovernmental agreement with the road district. That's what we paid them for the gas. That's what you asked me. That's what we did pay them. That was our cost for the township. Now, when we went back, because we never previously had done this, I mean, we kept track of all the gas, but because we had an agreement, we didn't add it up daily to go back to the road district with it for any reason. So then when we went back and added it up, we found out indeed we did use more than $12,500 worth of gasoline, but we didn't pay any more than that for it. I gave you the figures of what we actually used when you asked me later, okay? So it's confusing. I only paid $12,500, but the actual amount used was $19,000 something. We never paid that though. The road district, through our agreement, didn't get any more money than that. But now we have since changed that, since that was called to our attention for this current year. So does that explain it?
So the road district absorbed the difference?
Yes, actually, the road district did absorb the difference in their budget. That's what happened. But it's no longer happening. It did happen, yes. It wasn't a purposeful thing. It just wasn't something we kept track of. And it's in the minutes, I believe.
One more thing is, I would appreciate it if we're discussing business here. I don't know why we're.
Please, audience, you're not interrupting. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Why are we being interrupted by people when we're discussing?
We should not be, and I will be asking people to leave if they continue to do that. Thank you, okay?
We can't hear.
Okay, please use your mic. They said they can't hear, so.
Just move them forward.
Move forward.
No, don't press the button.
Can you hear me?
Yes, that's right. All right, so does that explain it? So Steve, I hear what you're saying. Can we strike the last sentence and then are you okay? No? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, but all this does is paper over my larger objection, which was that the gasoline totals, even with the increase, means that there's a fantastic mileage that these buses are getting, which couldn't possibly be correct.
It is.
Which is like 70-some miles a gallon.
That is not true, Steve. You just made that figure up. Wouldn't even make sense. So
Because we don't have the figures.
we do have the figures. They're in your packet tonight if you'd like to look at them.
It's very important that the board be given accurate information. It's the only thing we can go on.
Steve, you were given the accurate information of what we were paying for. We didn't used to keep track of it that
I'm
way.
not talking about paying for it, I'm talking about
Okay.
the mileage on the buses exceeds the amounts that we paid for the
Steve, I'm
gas.
not going over that again and again. This is what we used in gas. Okay, I gave you those figures. They are accurate. That's all I can tell you. If you want, I'm sorry.
Well, then the township should go to DARPA and show them how they can get 6 times the mileage on ordinary
Okay, Steve, now
combustion engine.
you're being derogatory now, Steve. We're done. Now, what do you want to do with these minutes? Either you want to strike that last sentence or I'm going to move for a motion to approve.
Yes, strike it.
Okay, I'm
Like I
striking the
said,
last sentence.
Because it never happened.
Okay, fine. We're striking the last sentence per your request. I make a motion that these minutes now be approved. We've tabled them twice as amended per what we just did.
Second.
Okay, first and second to approve these minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays?
Nay.
Nay, Steve. Okay, these minutes are approved. Thank you. Okay. We don't need to do the executive session minutes right now. Motion for approval and receipts of the bills for the town fund.
I have that. We, the undersigned members of the Mchenry Township Board of Trustees, certify that we have this 10th day of October 2019 examined and audited the amounts due for the items specified in the claims attached and hereby authorized payments of same. Total reimbursements to be approved $100. Total bills to be approved, $34,745.49. Total bills paid prior to audit, $43,520.96. Total be approved, $78,268.45. Total receipts, $11,933. I move to accept the receipts and pay the bills for the town fund.
Okay, I have a motion to accept the receipts and pay the bills to the town fund. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
I have a first and second. Is there any discussion on the bills of the town fund? Okay, none being heard, I'm going to call for a roll call vote on this. Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Rakestraw?
Yes.
Mr. Adams, yes. Mr. Wojciechowski?
Yes?
Mr. Reardon? Okay, thank you, John. Moving on. Motion for receipts and bills of the general road and bridge fund.
We, the
Hold up.
I would ask that this be put off until we have the executive session, because I have questions about some of the bills that relate to ongoing litigation.
Okay. Our attorney says we can do that. Okay, so we'll put this off until after executive session, I guess. Okay. All right. Well, actually, that's a motion by Mr. Beard. Do we have a second to his motion to put it off till after executive session?
Second.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, none being heard. We'll put it off. Okay. How about receipts and bills for the permanent hard road fund?
Permanent Hard Road Fund, total reimbursements to be approved, 0. Total bills to be approved, $47,814.71. Total bills paid prior to audit, $11,111.88. Total to be approved, $58,926.59. Total receipts, $635.74. I will make a motion to accept the receipts and pay the bills.
Okay, I have a motion to accept the receipts and pay the bills for the permanent hard road fund. I'll second that motion. Any discussion on those bills? Okay, none being heard, we'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Beer?
Yeah.
Mr. Rakestraw?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Adams, yes. Mr. Wojciechowski?
Yes.
Okay, all yeses, motion carries. All right, moving down the agenda, fund transfers at this time. First item on the agenda under new business is the Mchenry Township calendar for next year, gentlemen. We have done the same thing as you requested last year. The calendar's in your packet. It's the same holidays as the McHenry County Government Center has, exactly, no more, no less.
We don't have to stay with that calendar, that we just made the comparison, right? We don't have, this board makes a decision on what we want, we don't have to go with it, we just made the
No,
comparison.
correct. You made that comparison, that's what you decided to do last year, so.
Because one of the spring holiday, I don't know how the county ever got that in there, but I kind of, what is the, why do we have a spring holiday
Okay,
that's paid
Bob,
for the tax money?
I'll tell you what that is. That's really Good Friday, and they've changed the designation
Oh,
to
you-
spring holiday.
I remember, let's put that, I remember now, I brought that up last year too, could we put that down next year as Good Friday?
I have no problems with that.
Then I understand that.
We could-
When I see spring holiday.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Would you like me to change it? We're voting on it now, or, I can change it before we vote on it if you'd like, for the final version.
Would you do that, please?
I'd be happy to, if that's everybody's.
Does that take a motion?
Yeah, it does. So Bob, you're making a motion to change that to
I'll
Good
make a
Friday?
motion that we change for spring holiday, from spring holiday to Good Friday.
Okay,
I'll second that.
first and second, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None being heard, okay, so we've done that, I will change that to Good Friday in the final version. So let's move on then.
Thank you.
That's fine, so let's move on. Can we have a motion for approval of this calendar for next year, basically?
I will make the motion.
Okay, motion by Mr. Wojciechowski, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Anderson, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? None heard, thank you, gentlemen, calendar's approved. With that change as a Good Friday, and that's how it will be published. In your packet, and it's been posted for at least a month on our website, is the last year's township audit. It's there, you can look it over, you know, we can always take questions at a later time. It's, unless you have some now.
Is there a chance to get a hard copy of that?
There was one email to you, but here, you can have mine, or
I'd like
Jim,
that.
give Jim,
Okay, thank you.
that's your hard copy.
Thank you.
Basically, the accounting firm found everything in order here, and no issues, is basically what I can tell you. And the accounting was done correctly, according to their audit. So that's really just for your general information. The audit has been filed with all the appropriate agencies that it was needed to be filed with to comply with the law.
So we don't need to vote on that?
No, I mean, no, you don't. It's just for your information. Okay, so then we can move on.
Well,
Okay,
discussion.
go ahead, discussion.
When was this actually received by the township?
When was this received? I don't believe this was received until near the end of August by the time they got done with everything. And it just missed last meeting, so I'm bringing it for this meeting. As soon as it was received, it was posted on our website. Even though it says March 31st, that's the year they're auditing, but they don't get done with it for several months later. Any other questions or discussions regarding it? Okay, none being heard, we're gonna move on. Someone last meeting wanted to, I think I got him here, asked, it might have been, I don't know who it was, they asked for a review of the parks reservation fees and deposit fees. I have those for you.
Thank you.
Sorry. So if you look at that sheet I just passed off, that's what is our current rates for our park fees. Renting out this hall, we consider that run under our parks because they handle it. And our outbuilding at Whispering Hills Community Center, we also rent out. And then also the park shelters, those are the, and we sometimes do the Mchenry Township Recreation Center, which is also the senior center, is also used by nonprofit groups. We do not charge them during the week to use that. That would be like Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, things like that. We do give a weekend rate if they need to use it on the weekend. We charge $40. I believe this year there's been no takers on the weekend. So you can see there.
How many people are allowed in that building at one time?
In the recreation hall,
Yeah.
there can be up to 2 different groups there because there's 2 different rooms.
So what would be the capacity total for the two?
Is that 200-300 people, I believe, in the total building at one time?
So it's between there somewhere?
Somewhere in I don't have the exact number, but it's
Could you-
at least 200.
Could you find that?
Oh, yeah, I can find that out. The Parks knows what that is, I don't know. And then for this building, the capacity of this whole room with chairs and tables is 200 people. This particular hall up here gets rented out a lot for weddings, quinceaneros, showers. So this hall here gets rented quite a bit. Almost every weekend it's being in use for some type of rental.
Who has to be here to open it up and kind of maintain it?
We have, They sign a contract, and if there's no alcohol involved, they're given a code to get in the building. The only thing they can get into is the hall, okay? If there's alcohol involved, then there's security they have to pay for that's provided through the township to make sure everything's okay. And that person makes sure that no problems would arise because of someone abusing alcohol maybe and getting in trouble or something.
So for most of these things that we rent out, beer and wine only, but for this hall, it's.
This hall, you can have any type of alcohol, but not only can you have it, you gotta do several things. One, you've gotta pay more money. I don't have that in front of me right now. You have to buy a dram shop insurance, and it has to name the township and all its officials as not liable. And we make sure we won't give them the hall unless they provide that to us. So that there's various things set in there to protect the township from any issues. And in the parks, we only allow beer and wine, and they also have to get a dram shop permit if they do that.
Have you had anybody want to have more hard liquor and cause a ruckus because of that?
To be truthful, we've had very little problems. We have had occasionally, usually the biggest problem would be not necessarily weddings, certain parties, let's say, that they're usually to be out of here by midnight, I believe is the rule. Our problem then is, because we've got security here, getting them out of here by midnight is usually the rule, is the problem. You know, you guys need to pack up and get out of here.
And who does that?
The security.
Is it the police?
Oh, no, we use an in-house person that gets paid to do that when we have events. And he is in communication with the police if need be. Johnsburg is here in a matter of seconds if need be. So we've had very few problems, is what I'd like to say. Like I said, the hardest thing is getting people out of here sometimes when they're supposed to get out of here. And if they don't get out of here within like a half an hour, they get charged an extra fee. It's in their contract. The other thing that does happen is they provide that deposit, okay? That deposit, as you see there, I believe it's $600, which is pretty steep. If they leave the hall in the same condition that they came in and clean, you know, they get that deposit back. Occasionally people do not, so then we keep track of the time that it would take to clean and get it back to the original shape, and we take that off of their deposit and send them an explanation of why the deposit was less. And I don't think, and we've had a few of those, and I don't think anyone's ever complained. They're quite aware that they didn't leave it in the shape that it came with, you know. They're required to clean up, sweep, mop, and you know, take their garbage out themselves. So that's part of their agreement. So, and most people comply. And so I guess, is there any questions on that?
From my end, I don't have trouble with the numbers you got here.
You don't have trouble?
No,
Okay,
no,
thank
no,
you.
yeah.
And it does provide revenue for, and it's, you know.
I think it's fair, what you got here, from my point of view.
How long have these numbers been in effect?
We just changed them recently, like in the last year sometime. So, you know, we took a look at the rates and changed some of them in an upward direction, because obviously over the years, you know, you become too low if you don't account for the inflation in the economy, et cetera.
Well, we're also competing against businesses in the township that are paying property taxes and so on.
Well, not only do we do it, the city of Mchenry also does it, so. The city of Mchenry rents out their recreation hall and their parks.
My only concern on this is the differential charge for the park shelters between resident and non-resident. I thought it was supposed to be, I thought the law said it was supposed to be free to anybody.
Mr. Militello has addressed that in the past, and I can have him address that again.
Well, I went back and read the law. That isn't really a program, okay? It isn't like a program like an aquatic thing or that the Mchenry Park District has or something. It's just a fixed structure in the park. there's no program for it. And it's, my reading of the law is that we're in violation by charging.
Mr. Milko, can you comment on that?
There's two sections, and it's a matter of interpretation. There's 60 ILCS 1/85-10 and 60 ILCS 1/120-5. The section that Steve's talking about is 60 ILCS 1/120-5, which says the township acting through the township board may acquire lands not exceeding for any one park 25 acres in extent unless received as a gift to be set apart and forever held and maintained and improved as public parks for the free use of the public. And that's the piece that I believe he's talking about. Now, the section which is the other section, which is 60 ILCS 1/85-10, it says a township may establish reasonable fees for recreation and instructional programs sponsored by the township. So the issue then becomes whether or not you now have something other than just a park, but a shelter within the park, and now it's considered a recreational program. One might argue that it is, and in that particular case, you can charge a fee and set that fee. In this particular case, you said if you're a resident of the township, you're not going to charge a fee. That's great. If you're a non-resident, it's a $50 fee, and for both of them, a deposit. I have no, whether you want to charge or not charge, that's up to this board. If you believe that you want to charge, then, you know, I would not charge for the resident, I would charge for the non-resident if you're going to do it. And to Steve's point, if you want to avoid 100% anybody ever having a problem with it, you would just remove the non-resident charge. You know, if somebody wants to make an issue about it, you certainly can remove that, and it removes that potential issue.
I mean, if this board, yeah, I understand. Go ahead.
It's $50, and $50 is $50, so it's a question for the board as far as whether you want to have it or not.
I also just passed out the city of Mchenry's park fees for their shelters. You can see they're more than ours, and they do charge residents. I just wanted to give you a comparison.
And this, McHenry's.
That's the city of McHenry.
Falls under the same law as this?
I don't know that.
No.
No, this is specifically, the section that I'm talking about is specifically the township. So if you want to not have to worry about shelters and shelter issues and whether or not someone's going to make an issue out of this shelter fee, then you could not charge for resident, non-resident, and be done with it. If you want to consider the shelter as a program and something different, because now you have to maintain it and there's a cost of a shelter versus having the land, you can make the distinction, but again, it's you as a board who makes the decision whether you want to have the fee or not.
Let's just give you my opinion on it. My opinion is non-residents. I don't know that we have that many of them that do run it, but you know, they're not paying taxes in our township, so therefore I feel they should have to pay a fee. It's a small nominal fee, but it helps with the maintenance of the shelters. There is some maintenance in those. It's up to this board if they want to strike that. It's up to you guys.
Well, the problem is this has been raised in other township parks, this issue.
Steve's correct. It has
Okay.
been, Steve's
It
correct.
has-
It has been raised.
Is there been any?
Some have done away with it, and some have kept it. But it hasn't been an issue that's been raised, and when it has been raised, boards have taken the direction of it's not worth fighting over, then let's get rid of it. So again, it's for you as a board to decide.
Mr. Adams, do you have a ballpark idea of how many non-residents even use these park shelters in a given year?
I do not, because it's not something I've looked into, but I can tell you for a fact that if this board wants to change that fee to zero, I don't have an issue with it because there isn't that many of them using it anyway. So it's not going to affect our revenue in any substantial manner. So if the board feels it would be safer to change a non-resident fee to no charge, I can go along with that. I don't have an issue.
Well, I would have an issue if we were going to make some kind of a statement that we use that for recreational purposes, something like that, because that would be kind of false. So I think it comes down to an issue that we want to charge somebody and get away from the issue, would just forget about it, I don't know. So we probably have to take a motion to remove that, how do we?
Yeah, I guess I make a motion to set that non-resident fee to 0 if that's what you'd want to do.
Are you
For park shelters.
Are you comfortable with that, Steve, to do that?
Well, that's fine.
'Cause I don't really have a problem with it there. It has been an issue now, if it became an issue, I think we could change it then, but if you got a problem now, do something.
Well, it might be too late.
Do you want to make a motion to take it on?
If it hasn't been an issue, why even worry about it?
Just for purposes of clarification, there was an issue, well.
There was an issue. There was an issue.
Not here,
There was,
somewhere else.
yes,
But not
there was
here.
an issue.
We did
Oh, I'm sorry.
have inquiry
We did have an inquiry.
outside
Yes.
relative to the shelter. And so it is an issue of, hey, would you take a look at it? From a Mchenry
Yes.
Township standpoint.
Yes. It doesn't mean we have to change it, but we need to
Right.
at least discuss and look at it.
And you know what, gentlemen, I'll be happy to make a motion that we change that non-resident fee to no charge to protect the township from any possible legal liabilities we might have there because we are charging now. Do we have a second to that motion?
Second,
Okay, we have a first and second, and the motion is to, on park shelters only for non-residents, we will change their usage fee to no charge. There still will be a deposit fee, okay?
for anybody use it. there's a
Anybody
cost.
use it, that's, because if they don't leave in the same condition, it costs us money to clean it up, so. We have a first and a second, can we have a roll call vote on that? A yes vote would be to get rid of this fee then, for just non-residents and park shelters. Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Rakestraw?
Yes.
Mr. Adams, yes. Mr. Wojciechowski?
No.
No. Mr. Veer?
Yes.
Okay. So we have 4 yeses and 1 no, so we're gonna change the fee to no charge for non-residents. Okay, any further discussions on the park fees? Okay. On this next issue, Mr. Veer wanted to put on the agenda is he requested at the last meeting that some type of meter be put in to the gas pumps. I want to talk about that first. There is a meter on the gas pumps, let's be clear about that. It records the gallons used, okay? Or put into your pump just like you would at any gas station. And we do keep records, they're in your packet, some examples of those records. And we do them on a daily basis, anybody that gets gas out of those pumps. We have a summary that you'll see a sheet, but here's the actual gas sheets, and they're listed there. We have, our buses are numbered 401, 416, 420, 421. So whoever's driving that bus that day writes down the date and the bus and how much fuel they put in, and they initial it. Also the same with the Parks Department, if they use fuel. They have a sheet also. Then fuel is, when we get fuel, it's recorded by the company that gives us the fuel. So we know what we're getting, we know what's going out. So we have no reason to believe that anybody's stealing fuel there. We have cameras on those pumps. We've had no issues that we're aware of. So I don't see why we need to change anything in that aspect.
When we get fuel or get a fill up, is there mileage written down somewhere as well?
Yes, they have mileages on the bus. Yes, they are. They are recorded. We have to give, I wonder if it's in your packet, I think it might be. No, I guess it isn't. I guess it's not in there, I can provide it at a later date. There's reports that have to go to PACE for all the miles on those buses on a daily basis, daily, monthly basis. And they audit those to make sure that, that those mileages are correct. The mileage used.
Well, this is very nice for the buses, but what about all the other uses?
I just said, the only other use we have is the park. They also do the same thing, the parks, for fuel they would use. They have very similar sheets to this that they fill out.
Now, the road district itself has them, don't they? They use the gasoline.
What the road district does, I don't know. You'd have to ask Mr. Condon that question. It all comes out of the same pumps, yes.
The road district also uses sheets, and they enter every time they fill vehicles. Record the gallons and write them down on a sheet.
And the vehicle.
Yes.
Well, I know other townships have that thumbprint where they just don't have to sign anything. They get the gas because a certain person is involved and it's recorded, it takes less time, and it's,
You still have to record what vehicle it's going into, so a thumbprint won't tell you that.
You have to enter.
What other townships are doing it?
I believe Algonquin Township is,
I'm not sure we
they
want to,
inaugurated that.
and I'm not sure that we want to be modeling our township after that. At least the road district part.
I guess, gentlemen, I don't see that we have an issue. We don't believe we have an issue.
Where are these logs?
We maintain those logs, and they're turned in every month, and we maintain them.
What about the road district's log?
That's the road district.
They're collected every month at the end of the month also.
There's also the assessor's office.
The assessor's office is kept in her cars. Every gallon of gas that she uses is turned into her office at the end of the month.
Am I correct that if Steve wants to go look at those logs, he has the privilege to do that?
He sure does. Or does any citizen that wants to look at them.
So these logs are kept by each individual sub-organization within the township.
Correct. The road district keeps theirs. I keep the parks and my department keeps the parks and the buses, and the assessor keeps her records. Which, and I'll further go on, I look at her records when determining budgets to see what was used in gas from the prior years.
And the contractors hired by the township also use the gasoline?
The contractors from the township do not get to use our gasoline as far as I am aware. Is that correct, Mr. Khan?
Nobody, no contractors working for the road district use fuel purchased by the road district that I'm aware of.
And there is nobody in the parks or the buses we don't have any contractors that would even have access to that gas pump.
Okay, I'm glad this is all clarified.
Okay. Lost my agenda.
Or number 8.
Number 8. Oh, Bob asked that I add this to the agenda. We had a cost study analysis committee meeting this past Monday, I believe it was. And so on that committee is Mr. Anderson, myself, Mr. John Mchenry, who happens to be here tonight from the community as a community member, and we added Mr. Condon to that committee at the committee meeting because he requested that he would have input. At this point in time, the only thing that the committee has done is decided that I'm going to try to draft, or I'm not going to try to, I will draft some specifications so we could go out for a request for proposal to see if anyone would be interested in doing this cost study analysis for us. If the township was dissolved and it folded into the county, what would that mean for the taxpayers? So that's where we're at. We're going to have another committee meeting. That's as far as we are at this point. We're going to have another committee meeting, and I want to call that to your attention on the second page. It's going to be Wednesday, October 16th, and I need to change that time in there. We agreed to 11 a.m., not 9:30 a.m. So that will be at 11 a.m. on Wednesday, October 16th. At that time, some basic specs will be presented, and we'll define those and revise them and get them in shape so that we can possibly send out a quotation. The thought of the committee at this time was that universities would be the best to do this type of study, and they would be the most impartial to give us a fair study. So the committee will decide that, and then I believe the committee will issue, well, I guess the board will have to approve the request we send out. then we'll send them out, and then the committee will make a recommendation on those coming back. We'd also like to interview the people that submit quotations back to do this study, you know, just because you maybe, I mean, yes, certainly want the best price, but we want to know that if we're taking the cheapest price, we're getting a quality study, so we want to interview those people, just as you would if you're hiring somebody, okay? So that's where we're at this point in time, so we're moving forward. The committee has made a strong request that the study tries to be completed before the March election, where this question might be on the ballot. And we're going to move in that direction as fast as we can, but we are at the mercy of who's going to do the study and if they can get it done that fast. But we will certainly make that request if it's possible for them to do that. Any questions on that? Bob, did you want to add anything to that?
I have a comment. That was a very good overview. You did an excellent job. I have nothing to add to it.
Okay.
Well,
Maybe somebody else does. Maybe
are you
Jim does.
confining this to university?
At this time, we believe that would be the fairest,
Oh, no.
the fairest, well, Mr. Vera, this board can decide what they want to do. It's not up to the committee, it's up to the board later on.
Well, then the board has to be brought into an
board will be-
earlier phase before these quotations go out.
I'm sorry, we've taken suggestions from the committee. We're not going to have, and I'm going to strongly adjust to certain political organizations doing this study. They won't be, it'll be biased.
Does it mean nonpartisan organizations?
Yeah, even certain nonpartisan organizations, I disagree with them doing this study.
So you would object to the Better Government Association?
Yes, I would. They've already made a decision on townships, and I don't think they're unbiased. They've already made a decision, Steve, and said that townships should go. So why would I use them for a study? They're biased. They have a biased opinion already.
But we're talking about Mchenry Township.
I don't care. They say in general. They made that statement, so I would not use that. That would be a biased study, in my opinion, and I think everyone would agree with me.
Yes, you do, yes.
Yes, of course.
So
So,
I don't understand what's wrong with a university that's independent. What's wrong with that?
how about the University of Iowa? Because they got rid of all their townships in the 50s.
I don't necessarily, I'm not absolutely.
Are they out?
No, they're not out. I believe the university will do a non-biased study. They're not out, no. So the committee will move forward. They'll come back to this body with reports at a later time.
Can these interviews be done telephonically?
I'm sure they could be, yes. Yes, they could be. We're not going to make somebody from another state necessarily have to come down, or they could be done telephonically, yes. I know Bob and I have talked, and it's been brought before the committee. Northern Illinois University might have an interest. We're certainly going to let them bid on it. I believe the University of Wisconsin has an interest. I believe the University of Chicago has an interest at this point in time. I think those are all fine universities, and I don't have an issue. They will be nonpartisan, in my opinion. Non-biased, not nonpartisan, non-biased.
And what is your belief based on with these three institutions? Have they contacted you or what?
I've contacted them. They asked if they were interested, and they all said yes.
So who else have you contacted?
That's all I've contacted at this point in time, but I'm willing to contact other universities that the committee might recommend.
The committee's open to recommendations, Steve.
It's only a recommendation.
Anybody.
How much is the cap going to be on this?
I have no idea. That's going to be up to this board to decide. If the bids all come back so high, then you can decide not to do a study. That's up to you guys. And myself, obviously. We're going to have to put the specs out to see what the numbers come back at. We don't have any idea.
So let me get this straight. The committee is composed of 4 people?
The committee is composed of 4 people at this point in time, yes.
Okay, two are definite township employees
Correct?
that have already gone on the record opposing any kind of consolidation, correct?
Mr. Adams.
Yes, Mr.
I might be recognized.
You may be recognized.
I believe that's a completely false statement. I believe, at least speaking for myself, I've said that if it's cheaper not to have townships, I'd be the first one to sign up to do that. But I wholeheartedly believe, from my experiences, that the opposite would happen. One or two things, or both will happen. Your taxes will eventually go up, or the services will eventually be reduced, or both will happen. But if somebody can show, like I've said all along, that it's cheaper to do it the other way, I'll be on the train with you to do it.
Well, then I suggest you look at Iowa. Or Michigan, for that matter. It eliminated all their road districts.
Okay, we'll take your suggestion under advisement.
Well, what I'm
Well,
getting,
I would also-
at is that you've got a person in the form of Mr. Mchenry, whose wife is employed by the township, and who is an active proponent of keeping
Steve,
the
you've been warned
township.
about that before. We don't live together. She's no longer my wife. So please stop insinuating that we live together.
Are you gonna allow this to go on?
Look at my wife.
Okay, please stop, John. He's just making a comment that it is no longer his wife, okay? So you keep commenting on that, so. In any case, Steve, you're suggesting that the committee is biased. We have Bob on the committee. He's gonna make sure we're not biased, okay?
Oh, he's 1 out of 4.
We don't get to choose who does the study, Steve. This board does, okay? We're just gonna bring back some.
We've already tied our hands by saying it has to be a university.
Okay. That's my opinion. I don't know if the committee has that same opinion. That's my opinion. The committee may not have that opinion. I don't know.
So how can the committee overrule the board?
They can't.
Maybe the solution to this would be to have the committee recommend a couple. Say you've gone through 5 and the committee.
Yes, I've already, yes, Mr. Rickstrom, I've already told the committee I would like to come back with 2 or 3 recommendations, not just one.
Okay.
And then the board could choose out of those.
But yet the board can't put any of its own suggestions out.
The board could, the board doesn't have to take any of the committee's suggestions. It's only a suggestion from the committee, Steve. All right. Any more questions on that? So that's moving forward at this point in time. Nothing else? I'm gonna move on. Is there any old business that we haven't disposed of that anybody's aware of?
Yes, 2 items.
Okay.
These trinkets that are given out by the township, these pens that light and these flashlights and so on, they're really, in my opinion, nothing more than campaign items. I'd asked a number of months ago about what part of the budget is that coming out of? And you said you'd get back to me.
Steve, I believe it came out of, I'm not even sure, I've forgotten all about that. Whatever, there hasn't been any out of my budget in at least 2 years. Whatever we've given away has been from past years. We haven't purchased anything in the last couple of years.
And we're still missing the allocation of the insurance premiums that we're paying to Tia Torma for the various insurance.
I believe Mr. Militello looked into that and gave you those allocations, did you not?
No, we did not.
What are you asking for? I don't understand.
We're paying Torma a total amount, correct?
Mhm.
You're telling me that $5 million of coverage on each one of these Senior Express buses is $200 a year.
Mr. Militello called the company and gave you that information.
Yeah, I know that.
Okay.
I'm talking about the allocation of all the other insurance that we're getting.
I can give you allocation by department of what each department pays for that insurance.
I am talking about an allocation of each particular type of insurance that we get from Torma. What we're paying on a premium basis for it.
You mean what they're covering per what we're paying? Is that what you're saying? I don't really understand the
We
question.
pay X amount of dollars to
Yep.
Torma for insurance.
Correct. Mhm.
For several different lines of insurance.
Correct. So you want to know what those lines of insurance are?
Right.
Okay. We'll be happy to get you that the next meeting.
Well, and the amounts that match up to it.
You mean what we're paying for each line?
Right.
I will ask them if they can provide that for us.
Well, they already have. They've given you the $1,000 for the buses a year. That's one line, okay? So they have the ability to do it. I'm just asking for all the other lines, because I don't buy it, okay?
Mr. Mr. Veer, that is the insurance we pay, and they've always covered every claim we've had. So I don't know why you don't buy it, but I'll be happy to get you the information you're requesting. And we're not unique. It's all townships across the state that participate in Torma.
That's very different than what goes on in the Cook County Townships that run buses.
I don't know what
Okay.
Cook, I don't know what Cook
I
County.
have looked into it,
I don't-
and it's much different.
I don't know what Cook County Townships does. That's what we're talking about. I don't care what they do. I care what we do, and we're covered. We've been through this. I will get you the lines. Okay, anything else? Okay. Do we have any proposed agenda items for next meeting?
I think we should have something on about the cost study analysis, the committee, report from the committee.
Okay, will do. Okay,
I would like to know how we stand on the improvements to the facilities that we
I'm
talked about.
glad to ask that question. The bricks are almost, if they weren't finished today at Whispering Hills Community Center, they will be finished tomorrow for all the cement that was taken out. So that building is complete, less the windows. We're waiting for, the reason we haven't done the windows, we're waiting for cold weather because then the parks wind down and those guys can do those windows. Okay, the windows are ordered in here, okay. They don't have time right now. There's only 3 guys in my parks, okay.
Well,
And they're gonna replace them as soon as the weather starts to turn a little bit colder here when they don't have to cut grass and stuff anymore. So that's almost complete as well. That won't take them, a week at the most to replace all those windows. The shed has been painted, repaired. The only thing left to do is the fascia and repair a couple doors. And that will be done before our next meeting.
did it get recited or was it just?
They only put siding on where it needed it, okay? They didn't need to do the whole thing, they found out. They took the rotten parts out, put new siding in there, repainted it, as a matter of fact, I think I have a picture.
They were supposed to do some floor work.
And they also, I believe, have completed the floor work that is sturdy now. And, I have a picture, I may have a picture. Yes, I do. There's a picture for you. You can see it's been neatly painted. The fascia is not done yet. You can see that's still bare up there. So it's back to pretty good shape, and they might have to do a little work on those doors. They may not be, I don't think they have to replace them, they may have to realign them. That's showing you a picture of the fascia that they have to replace.
That's a huge improvement.
Yeah, it's moved along. So what I'm trying to tell you is that will be done before the next meeting, and the Whispering Hills, everything will be done but the windows. And I can say with fair certainty that by December the windows will be in and completed, and then all our stuff is done.
Are the exterior windows going to be wrapped with aluminum or are they going to just be painted?
Good question. I don't know the answer to that. I will find out for you. I would prefer to have them wrapped with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
I will look into that and not do anything until we find that out. Okay. You have my reports in your packet. Are there any questions on my reports? Mr. Veer, I added to the general assistance packet. I believe it was your request. The number of cases this month that we handled for either Richmond or Burton. And I believe we had one case for Richmond. And it's on that report now. Also, your packet is the latest mosquito report that they give us on a monthly basis when mosquitoes are still active. So, any questions on my report?
Well, on the 2019 bus monthly report, the bottom line, new rider.
Yeah, you know what, you have asked for that, and I will get it for you. Our problem is our software, we have to hand count these right now, and that's why we do it at the end of the year. We're changing our software so that we'll record it on a monthly basis. So by the next month, we should be able to provide you all that we had up till now, and then every month you should be able to get the new riders per month. That's the reason it's not there now. We have to go hand count them, and so we're changing the software so we'll count them as they happen.
And on the senior center report,
Okay.
the page ahead of them,
Mhm.
what is it?
Unduplicated units.
Okay.
No, those aren't units. Unduplicated. Those are the number of seniors, unique and individual seniors that participated that month, and one of those above activities. So 417 seniors participated, different seniors participated last month in some type of activity at the senior center.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Move on. Assessor's report.
Evening, Mchenry Township residents. Assessments were published in the Herald on September 18th. The last day to file an appeal is Friday, October 18th. We hosted an appeal forum here on September 25th and had about 70 residents in attendance. I still have a few days that are available for extended hours by appointment, including this Saturday and next Thursday. Any residents that have questions or need assistance can also come in during business hours, and township offices are closed on Monday. I just want to remind anyone who does file an appeal, that the appeal process does go on in the county until February or March. And so, and that's because the Board of Review hears the entire county. So just because all appeals have to be in by the 18th, that doesn't mean that everything's going to be answered right after that. I also want to remind people that my field staff does go out to all the properties that file an appeal if we haven't been out there, and any that are used as comparables. So if we don't have current information and photos of those properties, you may see my staff at your property. As of Monday, we had about 135 appeals for 2019. I certainly expect more. Typically, we get the largest numbers in the last week or so. But we have been busy in the office with calls, emails, walk-ins, and that right now is the focus of our work on the office. Once the deadline's over, we will start to respond to all those appeals, because we are required to respond to every single one of them. I also had some state PTAB hearings this week. There were 12 hearings from Mchenry Township from the 2016 and 2017 assessment years. So they're getting closer, but they're still backlogged a little bit. But hopefully those decisions will be out hopefully by the spring. So other than that, we're just heads down, working on answering questions, and anyone has any questions for me, happy to answer.
A question. Madam Assessor, how many appeals were filed last year?
Last year we had about 600 or 700 appeals.
Has that been a constant amount, pretty much?
No, changes every year.
And what was the year before that?
It's about 800. About 1,000 before that, 1,200, 14, it all depends.
Have last year's appeals all been taken care of, one way or the other?
Every appeal that's filed every year at the local level has to be acted on by the Board of Review before the books are certified. So the answer is yes. Every appeal that's filed at the local level has been acted on. That doesn't mean that there aren't state level hearings.
And how many of last year's resulted in a reduction?
I don't have that number. Here's what we do, we correct them if they need, there's a correction if there is a correction warranted.
Well, then how's the error rate determined?
I'm sorry?
How is the error rate determined?
I'm sorry, I still can't hear you. I'm standing about 10 feet from you, I still can't hear you.
How is the error rate determined?
I'm not sure what you're asking. What do you mean, the error rate?
The error rate of assessments, each township has one.
I'm not aware of that. I don't know what you're referring to.
The error rate, okay, it's kind of a standard figure. Every township has one. What?
Okay, then tell me what mine is, if you know what it is. I don't know what you're talking about.
You don't know?
I don't know what you're referring to, no.
The error rate between what you've assessed and all the cases that have gone through the appeal process and the result of that. What is the error rate of the township?
I would call it a correction rate if things are corrected. I don't know. If there could be a small percentage, there could be a large change. It just, there's some that are certified to be.
Correction rate, what is it?
What, I don't have a percentage. My goal is to get the assessments correct. That's what the Board of Review is for. If your assessment, if you think it's wrong, and there's evidence warranted to change it, it will be changed. I don't keep track of that.
Who does keep track of it?
No one that I know of. I don't know what you're talking about.
These are published every year, okay? They're about 2 years behind.
And they're published where?
The county publishes it for one, okay?
What the county publishes is the difference in where the equalized assessed value starts prior to the Board of Review hearings and where it ends up.
So what's that figure for me?
I don't have that with me. It's available online. It's available in my office, which happens to be down the hall, in case you don't know. But it's there if you want to come and see
You don't have to
it.
be demeaning. I know exactly where you're off.
Well, if you wanted that information, come and ask me. I don't know why you're waiting until tonight to ask me that, but that's...
Because you asked for questions, I gave it to you, okay? We're in a public place. There's people watching online.
Thank God.
Maybe they'd like to know. Maybe they'd like to know too how this township compares to other townships.
It's all available at the Supervisor Assessments website. It's called the Annual Report. Every township is listed, the number of appeals, the equalized assessed value at the beginning of the appeal process and when the Board of Review is finished. It's all there.
Okay, anything else for the assessment? Okay, none being heard, thank you, Larry. We're gonna move on to the Highway Commissioner's report.
Don't have too much to report other than what I have in my report. Road programs, as I mentioned previously, that were going to be reconstructed this year are going to be pushed off because of the timing in getting the projects designed. The prices have seemed to have jumped at the end of the year because a lot of people are busy. That's really about it. The Percent Subdivision buyout program is currently, the holdback with that is we are looking for funding for the 25% local match that's required for that subdivision. Continue to work through that. The county has indicated that, or Representative Frank, or Chairman Franks has indicated that he's indicated that the county won't jump in and directly contribute the 25%, so we're looking to find another 20, somewhere else to get some of the funds. We are just about completed with our roadway striping. There was no monthly recycling last month because I touched a truck. We did have a truck, and it was interesting because it was cut short. It's normally from 10 to 2, it was 10 to 12 because of the weather, and we still had over 1,200 participants on that day, in that morning. And big thanks to the over 30 vendors that participated in that. I think the people have a real enjoyment coming out there and spending some time with their family, and it's a very affordable event for them. We did receive our first, our replenishing shipment of salt, 1,000 tons. We do have that now. We also will be contracting for 2,400 additional tons of salt through the IDOT purchase process. We have been providing some sandbags for flooding issues, in particular along the Nippersink and then some lower areas along the Fox. Mr. Anderson, I'd ask if you actually stated that we were handing out sandbags in order to get votes. Is that true? Mr. Anderson?
I'm not here to answer your questions. They didn't report.
All right, well, I'll assume that that's not true. Other people, other places, they don't have anywhere else to turn for sandbags. We don't do it because we want votes. We do it because we're here to help the people. For instance, if you ask the county usually doesn't provide any of that service, so we do. And I'd appreciate it if you'd stop making statements that are so ridiculously silly.
Mr. Chairman, can you stop
Okay,
this?
let's go on with the report, Joe.
I'm sorry?
Continue with your report, please.
Well, I think that was part of my report. I guess I don't really have anything else.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Roper?
Yes, the sandbags, are they, the bags filled up, or do we have to fill them up?
We fill them up, we do two things. One, we place sandbags and sand and shovels at key locations throughout the township where they generally fly so the residents can fill them themselves. We also fill them here and supply them outside of the gate so that they can come and pick them up.
Okay, any other questions of the Roper?
Yes, if I may.
Yes, you may.
Anything new with that federal program that was gonna buy back those properties that are in?
The floodplain properties? As I mentioned, I had sent a request to the county, to Chairman Franks, and asked him to participate, or asked him to consider the county participating with the 25% match, local match that's required. Obviously, we don't have the ability to do that. Today what I did was, we found out about the program, the buyout program. It currently is 25% local, 75% federal funds, so we have to come up with a 25% match. We contacted the residents, approximately half the residents in the floodplain area there are interested. We then proceeded to go to the County Planning and Development Committee, and in public comment I stated that we were considering moving forward with this program and we'd like them to participate in it because we obviously can't afford the 25% match. The Planning Committee, the County P&D Committee requested that we supply them with some rough budget numbers and a schedule and a phasing process because it is a large amount. We supplied that, and at that point I was told that it was indicated to me that Chairman Franks, we asked to be put on the next Planning Commission meeting, Planning Development Committee meeting, I should say. And I thought we were going to be on in August, then it was pushed off till September, and then it was pulled off. And Chairman Franks asked his staff to meet with us to discuss the process. And I actually saw Chairman Franks at the Johnsburg Parade, the Schloppenspiel Parade, and he indicated to me that he felt that currently it would be a non-starter, that they wouldn't have the money to do that. I initially thought that the project, well, that's a problem because we obviously don't have 25%. The total project is about $8 million estimated, so you would need $2 million locally. And we don't have $2 million sitting here. so that won't work. Jim Franks indicated that the county isn't interested in that. I'll let him give his reasons why. I don't want to put words in his mouth. He's very capable of providing his position. But then I did touch base with the head of the emergency management agency at the county, and he said that's okay, there are other sources, and he indicated there's 3 or 4 other sources. They've got a project similar to ours up the road, closer to Spring Grove, and he said they had to go through 3 different places to find funding for it before they finally got it. So I've asked his assistance and looking for funding for that. Hopefully we'll find it, and we'll be able to move forward.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Oh, yes, go ahead.
Jim, are you aware of whether, like if somebody is in the floodplain and they are purchasing floodplain insurance, can an insurance company turn them down? Or do they have to accept a payment for floodplain insurance from whomever?
I don't know the specific details about that.
Well, the reason why I ask is that, let's say that John Hancock is insuring for floodplain insurance, and I don't know what that insurance would be, but perhaps going to John Hancock and saying, look, we're going to take one of your houses off the board. You don't have to ever pay for costs again on that house if it gets flooded. Would you be willing to donate to this fund that we're trying to create and see if we could generate the money that we need from insurance companies?
I think that John Hancock is the federal government, and they're contributing 75% of it.
Well, all right, then Allstate.
I don't know, the flood insurance is actually through the federal government, ultimately, I think that money comes out of their pockets. So the person, the group that you're talking to is the federal government, and they agree with your philosophy, and they say we'll do 75%. They would even do 100% if we had a statewide declaration of disaster, flood disaster. And we had some flooding, I think, in 2017. Unfortunately, the requirements to get it to the statewide disaster consideration, we didn't meet that. Otherwise, we actually get 100% funding. So.
Okay, anything else? Okay, Jim, thank you. I guess we'll be moving to, before we move on to the next agenda item, I just want to, in case some people might happen to leave, I want to correct some dates here that I have on the agenda, or times at least. I already said that once. Wednesday, October 16th is going to be at 11 a.m. here in this Township Hall will be the Cost Study Analysis Committee meeting. And then the next regular Township meeting, I have 7:30 on there. I don't know what, my finger slipped or what, but it's 7 p.m. as always, okay? So I don't want anybody to, and I did leave one date off of here, accidentally. Thursday, October 24th, there'll be a budget and appropriation hearing, amended budget and appropriation hearing here in this hall, and I believe it starts at 7 p.m. I will get that posted. It will be for just the township. Okay. All right. Earlier, we had a request to go to executive session for legal matters, I believe. Is that correct?
I believe I heard 2. One would be regarding the property and the price regarding that.
Okay.
And number 2 was a lawsuit, both are within the Open Meetings Act section, C6 and C11.
So we're going into executive session for C6 and C11. Is that correct? Okay. We will return. We do have to return and take a vote on the general road and bridge receipts. Oh, I have a motion to go to executive. Do we have a motion to go to executive?
Could I ask that we have public comment before, in case people want to leave, so they don't have to stay?
Sure, I don't have an issue with that. Is the rest of the board okay with that?
I don't have a problem with it.
Okay, so we're going to have final public comment right now. It has been changed to limited to 1 minute at our last meeting. Is there anybody that would want to make a final public comment? Gentleman in the back room first.
Mchenry Township. Just one quick thing on the cost study analysis committee. I hope you're including the county to make sure they have buy-in and agreement to whatever the analysis shows, and that it's feasible to work with them.
Okay, thank you for the input. Very good point. Okay, Mr. Teller, I saw your hand.
Good evening, Mike Hall. There was a question of how difficult it is to get certain things on the minutes correct. It is. I've watched the videos. I've edited the videos and tried to turn up the audio and things like that. And it is very difficult to hear, especially when individuals don't talk into the mic or cover their mouth while talking and hide their mouth from the ability of the microphone to hear it. So if you want to have a good, clear, concise accounting of what happens in the minutes, I suggest you speak into the microphones. Thank you.
Yeah, somebody else, yes, sir.
Hi there, Dave Trost, Mchenry. I wanted to ask Trustee Beer if he's ever been to a assessor's seminar.
Okay.
Whether it was done by Ms. Mahady or the previous assessor, because at those things, they explain very, very clearly how the assessor functions and what the assessed value of the property is based on, and also how the Board of Review functions. So it's really not an error rate, it's a correction rate. It's an opinion of the assessor and the opinion of the Board of Review. So just a correction there.
Okay, Jamie Rouse.
I don't know if it's enough. Someone on this board has called seniors and disabled in our community freeloaders, stated that supplying sandbags for flooded residents is buying votes, and has called community outreach programs like Touch a Truck a waste of time. As with any tweet, things you write on your Facebook page, McHenry County blog, and in letters to the editor may come back to hurt you. You sit up in front of us and demand our respect during these meetings, then you need to earn the respect of your actions outside of the meetings. Also, other board members fixate on minor, insignificant items, bogging down the process and making themselves, and by extension the township, look ridiculous. Of the things tonight, Iowa has 1,599 townships. Michigan has 1,240 townships. And there's a thing called a certificate of error that's given out by the assessor to go back to a previous tax bill to correct that. There's no such thing as an error rate for assessors on the internet. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is John Sarf, S-A-R-F-F. I live in Mchenry Township. And to sort of expound on what was just said about the state of Michigan and their townships, funny thing on their state law is that they actually allow recall elections on township employees who are elected. So it's a darn, I wish we would have had that in our Constitution. I really do right now. But the other thing I was going to also point out, that someone on this board, I'm not going to mention names, wants the Online Policy Institute to participate in the study. They tout as their shining example that Evanston Township was taken in by, was abolished and moved into Evanston, Illinois. If you look at the map, it's the exact same borders. The only thing you got rid of was that head person on the board. That's all you got rid of. You did not save that much money. You did not do anything. You did not cut any services because the city was doing the exact same thing that the township was because they had the same borders. Don't let them fool you about that, okay? If they say Evanston Township and Evanston, Illinois, that's your shining example, don't buy it.
Okay, last call, anybody else? Okay, nobody else being heard?
I don't know, did we ever take a vote to go into executive session? I
No,
don't
there was
believe
a
so.
motion.
There was a motion. Who made the motion?
Nobody made a
There was no
motion yet.
Oh, let's make a motion.
I'll make a motion to go into the
Okay,
executive.
motion by Mr. Rakestraw. Do we have a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by Mr. Anderson. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? None being heard. We're going to move into executive session. We will return.
I don't know. I would think so.
Accurate, don't mumble, and don't cover your mouth with the mic.
I'm keeping it in my gauntlets.
I gotta control myself. Why you mention it?
Minutes are not a word-by-word transcription of what happened. All it is the highlights. What happened, what was
He's
going
allowed
on.
to write his own version of the minutes. Sure. He's allowed to do it. Exactly. Right. He can't, but it's understanding.
The only thing you can say in the minute is, in the minutes, really to correct if, you know, somebody's name is wrong, or what was voted on is incorrect, or the crux of the argument is wrong.
Either half back. Okay.
It's much easier to just.
I didn't know what they were, I didn't think about the actual thing. Cause I have a sink downstairs and a washer.
But you know, Jamie's right. They want to respect that. And that's what
Okay,
it's-
that's, I want to.
Today they call me.
Yeah, this is one of the more civil ones.
He just sits there with his head down and tries to find issues.
Oh, when he asked Mary that question, and they sat there for like an hour, just like, not even looking at her, just like, you know, are you done? You know, and then, you know, after they
They didn't do their board members' comments tonight.
No, they're gonna do that in the executive meeting.
When nobody's here.
Right, so that's why.
No, exactly, because Anderson wants to talk about, make some comments about the special meeting that was held.
Yeah.
And he wants to discuss the ethics ordinance for the township.
He wants to talk ethics. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
He wants to talk ethics. That's why, Mister, I won't answer any questions. No, he's not.
Yeah, I remember, I was so mad about that, and my aunt like knows him, or whatever, she's like really looking for a credit card, and she's like, oh, let me see, let me sit down and talk to him, and I'm like, no, they talked to him, but,
I do think it's.
and then she's like, well, he paid all that, I go, so.
I'm curious to see what they do about the all petitions we turned in. That still hasn't come back.
Yeah, really.
So the petitions are in, but it hasn't been certified yet that we're on the ballot?
Right, it's, Jan France on Friday. They turned it over, they turned it over to the legislature for yesterday.
The rates was higher for.
Well, we didn't have to, but we just decided to, because we wanted to get, we just wanted to get it over, we didn't want to wait.
Right.
It gives everybody time to look at it. In case there's something wrong, then that's still, fix it. And so go back and fix it if there's an issue.
So is Anderson's editorial.
Sounds like it, doesn't it?
And they're just so hungry for coffee, they're just.
Yeah, that was a pretty reasonable,
Well, and the one last week too, about, they're trying to accusing all the people with the petition, pretty much accusing them of reading the system.
Yes.
Well, it doesn't underhanded to the.
No, hey, we can play by the rules, and those are the rules, you know, if you have it, you get it on the ballot, it goes on to the next one. On to the next.
How come I ask for the state?
Oh, I don't know. I guess they have to sign it.
Yeah.
Signatures.
How many of these signatures are good?
Oh, man, we only needed 300, we got over 1,000, so we should have enough.
Well, they're turning them in.
Mine was good, I can count for mine.
I know I passed out one or two because one guy accepted his photo and his mom wasn't present. And I probably could have stuck it in, but I said, they asked me if I saw everybody sign it.
And then we had to sign in front of some girls to get them notarized. It was the whole process. No, it's girl home estate. When she's participating.
Yeah, at least they didn't have to call the police here this time, but.
They were out there.
Oh, really? I guess I got here too early.
That sounds familiar.
Or John.
Yeah.
OT all the time.
It's really.
They were laughing.
All these handicapped and senior citizens.
Yeah, I know.
And they're eager to protect these poor little trustees.
Yeah, well, let's see, what's his name? Mike gets everybody that he lives there. Being not poor, but I wouldn't put gas in my house on September 23rd. But I'm not poor.
Well, now you can't get away with it. Are you kidding me?
For assistance.
Yeah, you can. There's assistance things.
Oh,
no, I had a guy actually create a human being. Really?
Oh, I can believe that, yeah.
The poverty
Doesn't the
level,
township have the possibility of it too?
they have one before. The poverty level in Illinois is $1,041 for a single person.
We actually think the FBI looking for this guy.
Oh, my goodness.
And what do? We would pay the guy, but he cashed all his checks, so he keep the money. Plus,
I
see Mike has a very special chair that nobody else has. I don't think I should have to pay for something I don't use. That's what he always says, I don't have to, why should I pay for something I don't use?
That's because of all these health issues. Well, it's killing these chairs.
Yeah, they're not very comfortable.
No, they're not, especially when you have a really, really messed up back. And since my last fall down the stairs, my tailbone hurt so bad. And today I was supposed to go for the stress test, the echocardiogram, and get the monitor hooked up, but my ride decided to call me at 10 o'clock this morning and tell me that
There's a lot of ways to do it.
could have told me that yesterday and I could try to do the ride, but.
Yeah, I just figured, well, people with most choice, they still die. They can't do it, right? So I'd much rather just leave them live this easy life and not worry about it, you know, and.
My issues are killing me. I'm not even that old. And this all happens in years. And it seems like every time I go for all these new tests, they keep finding things wrong. And I'm still trying to deal with the last diagnosis. And I'm worried what they're going to find out about my heart. I have chest pains 24/7. I always have chest pain.
We have a house built. Did they put you on medication?
No, I was supposed to be going for
And what he did was.
but I didn't get trouble.
Chairs, I'm gonna stand up for a minute.
I'm gonna mention the bathroom. Can I just leave my purse here?
We'll keep our eye on it.
I don't know, I'm poor to free look.
Would have to rip out the walls and everything. And the guy finally said.
Yeah.
That's not true.
But yet he's worried about their Friday.
That was another one. I was gonna say. I figured I was gonna say something about that too.
I think they did that to,
Exactly.
not even sell people out that are religious, not religious. But I don't care, I mean, if you want to call it Friday, Green Day, whatever, couple day, I don't care. If they wanted to be, never
I don't know what the angle was, but it's just like.
I'm sorry, I was born in this Catholic
Brian was here, he probably was there.
Oh, he was.
That would have smacked him for him.
I would have said something last year. They're probably in my report last year.
You know, it was a
One more
It's
thing.
on the website.
Yeah.
And you can see, when he does that, he puffs up.
He insisted he brought this up last year, but I was at the discussion last year. He just wants to be, feel alive today.
So our Christian nation.
Buddy Holly, did my mom was, I think she was with Dr. Jane now. I was a cruelty, mean, it's just, it's beyond, it's just, I know.
I'm Greg Adams. What's up with? You just that one time.
Were you here tonight? Pierre said to him, how are you gonna clear up this mess with the handicap buses?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You were gonna clear it up. Oh, yeah.
Scam.
Is the link to the video?
Yes, it's on.
The township website?
It's on YouTube. You can get every
I was
meeting.
gonna send it to Janko, he wanted it, and I was trying to figure out.
So is it,
It's on YouTube.
This is usually how I switch it up. On YouTube, what do you do? Just grab it through?
Mchenry Township.
oh, this.
Everything is there. No, it's up there.
Yeah, there it is, that, the circle.
And you are on it.
I'm actually, I think I'm just out of camera.
I just don't know, it's
Your
like,
voices.
people do that all the time.
Oh, really?
The camera's back there.
Yes,
The pictures are always
it highlights a problem.
going from all kinds.
you know,
Hey,
guilty
are you
until
gonna-
proven innocent.
you gonna help
and
it out,
the
right?
judge, jury, and executioner and everything.
How
And
about
it's like,
Sam?
I'll be right
Wait,
back. Show us how-
Which one are you
the
coming to?
channels and
I'm going to
So
second.
I feel that she's, you are.
I'm
Oh, thank you very much. Oh, yeah.
Fair tax, so everybody comes to me, see what I can do behind the scenes.
Once the tax was applied, the only way to correct that,
Yeah.
is if they have exemption.
See, I actually want
And it doesn't have to be an assessment check.
Right, it's anything, yeah.
It's called a
But,
certificate of error. It's just
What-
a
what- what-
determination
what- what- what-
that corrects the tax. It doesn't mean it's always error.
I know that he on WCPT, but then he got fired because he, stepped on somebody's toes. But I have a relationship with WCPT, I'm actually using
Go into
that
detail about everything, like,
process.
he's making, I mean, obviously they don't listen to us, because he's making up this conspiracy
So,
that you guys, that people in the township are in their personal cars and filling up with gas before they go home. And he knows they're doing it, but he's never seen it, there's no physical proof, there's no documented proof, we must be like getting rid of the videos and stuff like that.
Okay.
And he just keeps going, it's been months.
The assessor vehicles, because
Yeah.
I swear to God, I don't even know where the gas tanks are. I have no idea, I've never filled up one of the township cars or anything, and I would have said, sure. My guys are going around joyriding in the assessor vehicle.
Right.
That's what we're targeting.
Exactly. And then he's like saying the buses are getting like 70 miles per gallon. Well, that means that they're not recording if they're putting gas in there, so then they're not stealing it even, you know? There's less gas than there should be, so.
Right, I mean, that's what we need.
Cover that with.
I can understand, like, if it was just like, you know, free for all, but I don't think you guys have as much control on it as you can. And then the thing is, if you see it, and it goes back, and goes, okay, we got this much gas, we need this much, we need this much, we need this much, we need this much. Then the thing is that, you know, like, I mean, like a monthly, as auditing house, you have to do something. So they're about 1,000 gallons.
It's all.
And, you know, so
Like there's a lot.
think of tomorrow like the war. Think
The mileage.
But if someone go back and like take all of those and be like, okay, we got 1,000 gallons, you use this much. Oh my God.
I told him, I said,
It's pretty.
I also have a relationship with WCPT, that's a
It's always been sort
great
of
station.
strange,
So,
you know, I don't ask questions, I don't do them.
I'll get you guys on.
Yeah, I
From getting it short, I just couldn't take care of it, take it out, it's making me crazy, but,
My power is.
yeah, I mean, it's like, it's always been, there's just been some things in the.
He's too blunt, you know what I mean?
The assessors.
I'm serious, no, what I'm saying is,
Budget, but it's.
there's these
So
things.
now, there's a part of it in
Well,
like.
no, what I'm just saying is,
Check it, so we did it, and said, okay, this is how much you have.
when you have a special
But
talent,
okay,
okay,
it's
to
just.
be an emotional part. It's the truth, it's the truth. I was down in the city, it was just like, fiery speeches about the poor kids and stuff like that.
I love that. What other countries do that? Name one other one. Well, but Iowa got revolved.
You need the animators.
You gotta trust people. The only reason you don't trust people is because you're not a trustworthy.
No, I already know. I gave some.
That's, because we're not cheap, we're not taking gas, we don't need it.
I come up actually, I can remember when they closed the gates and I fill up my car every night. Should I tell them that? Dust, so I gotta get out early and stuff like that.
You're in a condo.
Yeah. I think it's me up to people that outside of Mchenry Township that
But they should
track me down.
They are, they must be a road on that this year.
I mean, after that. Yeah. So what is that?
They're selling.
Okay, scale. We should say the, WCPT, it's
There's a couple, that's fine, yeah, you know, for that. Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, it's right here. It's that 1 minute like that, it's so nervous.
No, I just wanted somebody to let me say
All you do when you're not here, is you don't talk while you're here.
Township. I was a truck. Road district council.
You want to say anything?
Got together, Fred Boston, across the state.
So your pieces?
Right.
I think so too.
Even though everybody can hear me right now.
Yeah, but they're not watching because they're in executive.
First community.
Oh, if anyone's curious about why they're in executive session, our road district, and I think, what's the other road district, filed a lawsuit. Nunda filed a lawsuit against McHenry County and the state of Illinois that the law that they said about consolidation is unconstitutional. So now our road district is involved in that, but our township trustees don't want to countersue and have the law stand. So now they're in there battling out like how we do with lawyers and everything like that to figure out how we can fight each other for, you know, whatever. Just in case anyone at home is still online and wondering. I mean, there's something about a property thing that I didn't understand, but I hope Dan got the minutes. So, some kind of property thing.
I think we should pay for a stenographer to just take it on and.
You know, that would be awesome, because you know what, here would still say it's wrong.
But you don't have my right word.
Yeah. I didn't say scam twice, but you said scam.
They didn't approve the road and bridge money either, that they were talk about that too.
Yeah, they're gonna talk about that afterwards or whatever.
I think that's about where the money come from for this lawsuit.
That way, where what?
Where the money came from for this lawsuit. that Jim
Yeah, who
filed
pays
with
for
the-
it? Who's paid for it?
Who's
Who's
paid
paid
for
for
it, right.
Oh, Jim Fox.
Yeah, Jim and, I don't, Jim, no, no.
Didn't, Mike, the guy from Madison, file for us and moving over money to do it?
Well, we think that he's going to, because we think that he's gonna try to file a lawsuit to keep our resolution off the ballot.
It's, I think that's coming too, but one step at a time.
Yep. So, but we're still here, we're still fighting.
That's right.
Join us. Yeah.
Come on
Yeah,
down.
these meetings are fun. We need more people to fact check Steve Bear during the meetings, because I can only do so much.
That was great.
Oh, I had the same figures you had though, because the minutes are insane.
Really, Iowa has no townships?
You know what?
It could have been true.
I got the same figures you did from Google.
Because they
Well,
say it's true.
Steve here does not know how to work a computer or Google.
Yeah, but seriously,
No, this one.
It's called the fun.
I hate to say it, but it's
It's a lot of pages.
It
No, that was hilarious.
Right, it must be true. Right.
You know, I almost want to go see the papers.
Or a 2-year-old.
Exactly.
Nah.
I said so.
It's on video.
So have you given up on the pace thing, and are you just using the township bus now again? Or do you still use pace every once in a while?
Every once in a while when I have to use pace. But,
I don't mind answering questions. Ask me.
I'm so upset. I was supposed to go to Harvard today to have a stress test, an echo, and.
Well, that's awesome.
With
Stress
a-
out about you, stress test.
To get a monitor hooked up, and Brian offered last week to drive me.
Yeah.
He doesn't read the package.
John, what was that thing you said?
Yesterday he was supposed to take me to just regular doctor's appointment. And he called me like right before I was supposed to be there, and he said, oh, I'm really sick, I can't take it today. Well, text me, and I'm like, fine, it's only a doctor's appointment. But tomorrow, I tried all to text testing. And so he's like, yeah, no problem. Well, this morning I'm waiting for him. And like 10 o'clock when I had to be there at 10:30, he's like, oh, I'm so sick. He's like, oh man. And I'm like, well, you couldn't tell me this yesterday, so I tried to find somebody else to take me. I said, no, this wasn't just regular doctor's appointment, this was about testing. And he hung up. And I was like, I'm so sick and tired of being such an immature person.
But that's him, you gotta take it, leave it.
Oh, I do, but you know what? To tell me the day before, because,
Or call you at like 9:30 at least,
I mean, I could have found somebody else to take me this morning.
Yeah.
And then they hang up on me. You know, I mean, tomorrow I'm gotta go to the doctor, my regular doctor, for a bunch of stuff, and, they're also gonna, I'm actually getting, set up for home health.
What's better, right?
Yeah.
Not home hospice, right? It's home
No,
health,
home
right?
health, but
Okay.
I think that I did that for 30 years for other people, and only being
Well, now you know how to be critical. Don't criticize too much of the person.
and only being 55 and having to have it set up for myself, between that and stressing out trying to find a new place to live, because our lease is up November 1st, and I can't afford the house we live in, plus it's huge, and plus there's stairs that, I seem to be falling down a lot.
Yeah, that's what you were kind of saying, so.
You know, and,
Well, Sue helps with that, right?
Yeah, she does.
yeah, well, first, my doctor's office has to put in all the paperwork.
You could get free appraisals.
Well, it's hard because every other time that I needed to find some place to live, I got in the car, drove around the neighborhood and found a place to live.
Yeah.
I can't do that anymore.
You can look online on paper and stuff like that. And it's all really bad.
The one house I went to look at, see that hallway there?
Yeah.
That was about the size of the house for $900.
Have you looked at like Hillcrest or Summer's Trails?
No,
I know Hillcrest has got stairs and stuff like that.
yeah, but I also have dogs.
Okay.
And I would prefer to be in a house with the dogs instead of them having, we looked at a place in McCollum Lake, it's really small too, but it's bigger than the place in Wonder Lake, and now I'm going to back to the guy. So, because I've still got my son. My daughter, it's been 2 months now since we've talked. I haven't seen my grandchildren in 2 months, and she's doing good.
Well, hopefully that will work out. It's only been 2 months. I don't think it'll go about longer than that.
No, as long as she's controlled by his parents. Who first of all think I'm failing on this, and I'm just lazy and I don't want to work.
Oh, they really think about it.
I'm white trash. I told my daughter, why would she want to do anything with white trash? All time. And that's and these are people, all the way pregnant, who want to hurt their abortions.
Well, you can only raise kids so far, right? Unfortunately.
Well, they raised their son to be the selfish, ignorant person that should expect that everything should be given to him. I mean, they got mad at me because I needed money from them to live in the house, but they're both 25 years old, they have 2.5 kids, and they both work full time.
And they were paying any money?
Same answer.
And then my daughter had the nerve to tell me that I have done nothing for her all her life, and the last 2 years she lived with me rent free. I mean, I'd like to have no money the way they have no money. I mean, like I said,
I knocked over the spoon and then
when they were living with me and everything, my bills got high. So I haven't had gas in my house since 2023.
Since I got it.
Well, they have to do heat, right? That's the law. Well,
No, not until November.
Yeah.
We've never used it, all you need it.
All right. Well, do you have home?
Mike isn't.
Okay.
Then, and explain why, that, like we.
We're gonna go home and watch a little bit of a hockey game.
Can I put that up on the shelf? But I should have started on that. Usually,
I saw this song around there.
Okay, well, you know what, I'm pretty sure that
eventually, just so you know, she'll only be 6,000. I'm like, good. Just oh, I don't care. I mean, I told you.
All right, we'll see you next time.
Oh, yeah.
I ended up
Hopefully.
around the 6,000. I'm gonna have to move the money from somewhere else. You guys are gonna, I never use it, it doesn't go with the addresses. There. Because I don't understand budgets. You very patient. You don't wanna.
I still got a couple of hours on my
I just watch those videos in the last one.
No, they obviously don't. When they say something like a statement, sound like your conspiracy theories. And they go right into it. John, that was so mean to do that to John.
More money for the attorney, no longer than he's here.
This price exploded.
Nobody's using the gas, and it doesn't fly.
Well, he's like all upset, John. And the thing that you did that was
All the other factual things.
Is there paper towels in there?
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
And with no basis of proof.
Oh, no, Marcus, oh, Marcus.
I think this engineer literally doesn't buy it. He needs to spend the entire day sitting outside with a little umbrella and watch the pumps. Then he can say that he watched them, he knows what's going on.
Yeah, he gets better who's on that committee looking at it.
We'll give him a little stamp pad, and a little pen and paper.
Let me get this, you see, that would be, there's two people that are,
Employees actually
already put it on the board, if
just
it's opposition.
accuse people of being dishonest.
Yes.
And throw it out there and say, well, you must be cheating, because that's what I would do.
That's too much.
You know, this is what you're wasting time.
He didn't believe it then, he didn't buy it then.
It's been long enough for me, and I get.
Every once in a while, like, I think that
To
there's
function, meeting with someone.
that hand kind of guy. Then I remember when he put on Facebook page.
Oh, yeah, sorry to.
All right, good night, everybody.
That's okay.
Oh, Mary, I did look to say that you looked incredibly well put together today.
Oh, well, thanks. Well, thanks. This, getting wrapped up helps me, I suppose. I love how you look away from me. Just was like, I want to kill this guy. There's no, honestly, he doesn't respect me, and he doesn't deserve my respect. He doesn't deserve my respect. And when he went, I answer even the stupid ass questions that he asks. You have a right to ask that question. It's stupid, but don't ask me to make something up because you have a stupid question.
After all, there are no townships in Michigan or Iowa, even though there's 15 $1,599 in Iowa and 1240 in Michigan. But there are no townships.
None of his mind.
As a matter of fact, according to what it said online, Michigan actually has two different types of township. They have a general one, and then they have a charter one, which is a township inside a township being even closer with people.
Oh, they would have a heart attack if that ever
We need another township.
It's like a turducken of township.
It is.
It's kind of like when he asked me, he was asking about what other counties do that don't have townships. Like, I'm supposed to know.
Yeah.
Really?
Right. Those are one of those counties.
Not in my purview.
I don't live in one. I don't
Or
know.
about the townships downstate, like that, the fact that there are more farm animals in those townships than people.
Why don't you go and move on and check it out yourself?
True.
Well, that's exactly. If you're going to ask a question, you should know the answer. Like,
No, he wants all of the information, but
He
first
just
put
wants
it
to
in a
make
little
it
packet
up.
that he won't read.
they say, I've heard, if you're an attorney, you don't ask a question you don't know the answer to.
Exactly.
So apparently, either he's not an attorney, or he just doesn't care what the answer is and wants to see if you know what it is.
Well, after all, you know, he claims to be military, in fact.
Yeah, well,
Oh, is that right?
they're coming back.
He's never been, he got kicked out of West Point.
1 year at West Point, I think.
But he got kicked out anyway. Yeah, exactly. His freshman year. Yeah, I know. And then he tried to sue them.
I wasn't military, but my brother was special forces, so I ride on his coattails.
We'll see you guys soon.
See, I have family that was, and I have a couple
I
of
will,
friends
my
that.
already almost found myself yesterday by over.
I do know, and my girlfriend,
I made
it's
this
been
call
5 years
because I didn't realize, and I think I almost, I was trying to have it in medium still, so I almost.
White House was accepted at West Point, keep them in it.
And also I had to speak, but I think the guy.
Oh, that's scary.
Now he's at
Oh, anyhow, so,
Yeah.
but I was like figures, amount of, I think I'm gonna go with that time vision, night vision,
There should be some kind of
Nothing.
list, actually, if you need,
That they're worried about Good Friday.
obviously.
Yeah, that's right.
Which, they removed the fee on the
Right.
facility
Exactly.
to avoid any potential litigation, but they changed spring holiday to Good Friday, which is
Right.
calendar.
Litigation.
Litigation.
I was gonna speak to that, but then I figured that was such a petty little bunch of bullshit.
we
I just
need
seen
you.
it for some other time.
Oh. Pretty soon I'm gonna take it over my license, I'm having trouble driving at night now.
I'll tell you, these wet nights when the roads are like, that you really need, those fog lights or something to see if it's,
Maybe that's it.
sometimes I wonder if my lights are even on.
Yeah.
I feel like that it needs to be more restriping in this area.
Yeah.
They seem to wear out real fast.
It's rough.
Well, I always had a problem with gauging, especially when I'm parking. I had more comments about me parking crooked, including a nasty note on my windshield. And I'm going, okay, he's right. Because I was in a hurry, I didn't check to see if I parked.
But you didn't park in the handicap spots.
Oh, please. You know that woman has death threats? They gave her death threats.
Well, that's going a little too far.
They're also trying to get her fired. She apologized. She apologized, she's offered the phone to let him call her supervisor. I mean, what else can you do? She knew she was in the wrong, she apologized, that should have been the end of it as far as I'm concerned. You know, she said, I won't do it again. You know, to forgive is to something, I forgot, is to be divine or something.
Something along those lines.
Oh, yeah. Me parking crooked, now that's a problem. I forgot to check to see if the thing is, I was in a hurry, I forgot to check how I parked, and I really was off.
I had a friend of mine post something about a car that was parked like really close to the side. I suggested if you carry sidewalk chalk like the kids have, and then just like stripe it out around the car and say, this is where you should park, in an asshole or something like that. No harm, no foul, you don't key the car.
Somebody, I think he keeps paper towels Carl's in his car just to write nasty notes on people that talk to Elsie.
We need to put stickers on cars like that.
Oh, God.
It was the old, I think it was George Carlin, had the thing about having remember the old guns that had the suction cups on the back, and had like idiot on the back of it?
Yeah.
When you see a car with a whole bunch of those stuck on the rear,
Right.
and then you start stay away.
Well, and the cop would pull him over when he had 5.
Yeah.
I remember that
You're
too,
right.
yes.
I remember I squeezed in this parking spot, I said it was really tight, I told the doctor, I was working at an optical place at the time. I know she did park, she said, oh, Don, that was me parking, because I didn't want anybody to park next to me. And she said, well, sorry. I managed to squeeze in.
You know what I hate is when somebody parks, kind of in your thing, in your spot, and you have to be over to the other side of the photo so you can get out, and then that person leaves and you look like the idiot, You had to account for their space.
What drives me crazy is the people that leave carts in the middle of the parking spots. So you have to get out and move the cart, or, it's like, why can't you put it, and the cart thing is just like 2 feet away. Why can't you just take your cart and put it in that spot?
There's a special spot in Home Reserve for people that don't return the carts to the car return.
This is true. This is true.
I agree with that one.
They gotta push the carpet on squeaky wheel up a hill.
Then they do it. They'll put 2 wheels up on the island.
Every day.
So it won't go away.
Yeah, one squeaky wheel that every once in a while catches, lurches the entire cart to the side.
Seems like I have no cars at work. I don't know how they break down so fast, there's somebody
They
that
need to
comes
do
out
it all
and
together.
fixes them.
Put the sign on it. Then, put it where, you can take the carts back.
Oh, Aldi's has a good idea, everybody should have that.
Yeah.
What works?
I don't believe everybody doesn't do that.
Yeah. Oh, I've been making a top for myself. Thank you.
Bully's work.
Thank you.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
Is that see-through?
Huh? No, it won't be.
Don't get excited.
Hello, Weaver.
It's, oh, are
good to
you?
see.
Oh, okay, are you on Ravelry?
Yes, I am actually. I don't have any of my stuff posted up there yet because I'm forgetting to.
Oh, you should put it up.
She needs to be cool
Yeah,
breed now.
Cantarina.
What?
A Cantarina on Ravelry.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Very cool.
So.
I will look you up and see if I can get you.
Yeah.
V-E-T-T?
James was looking for you.
Y-V-E-T-T-E.
Who was?
Yeah, give you that.
Road guy.
Jot this down so I don't forget.
There you go.
I have a picture of Thor.
Yeah, I don't know.
I've got a picture of Ariel singing about I need more yarn.
Yeah, don't we all?
Okay, so K-I-M-M-I-E?
No, K-I-M-Y-V-E-T-T-E.
K-I-M, spell it again?
Y-V-E-T-T-E.
Cool.
You got it? Okay, just send me a friend request.
Think I'm not sure.
I don't know, he just asked if you
Do you
want.
buy your supplies local or do you order them online?
Mostly local.
Studio S is going out of business.
I heard.
Just found out today, do you know why?
I think that they just weren't making enough. Not enough people were, going in.
Who's going on this?
Studio S Fibers, it's up in Delavan.
Ah.
She carries reading supplies and knitting supplies. I might take a run up there tomorrow and see, I'm not sure.
Awesome too, but they're having a sale because they're going out of business. They made a good idea.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah. Knitters, weavers, all that, they're crazy. They'll go as soon as it was posted on Facebook. They'll load their car, they'll all go like raving lunatics.
Yep.
Has anybody got any idea what Tim Willis is doing?
I'm guessing about the Spencer. I'm just guessing.
It was not
About the Spencer, I'm just guessing.
No, because he said it was something that was in Mchenry before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there was a business, there was something that's coming back to Mchenry. In fact, I even, on the phone, I said, you did say it was a business that was already here at one time. He said, yes. It wouldn't be parked.
Maybe it's locked car
No.
races or something like
Isn't
that.
there,
That a long time ago.
didn't he have a, didn't he, isn't he a recovering, addict? My son said something about you guys on the website said he was,
No.
we'll just lie about something good.
Oh, yeah.
What was that other, date, the meeting? It was three, right?
October 24th, I believe. It's the budget. Amended budget. It's a Friday. No, it's a Thursday.
At 7.
October 24th at 7 p.m. Yes.
What's that?
It's the amended budget appropriation for the township that you want to take the bus money out of. That we covered.
Yeah, right.
We have to have a hearing.
Gotta be careful about that, that means it's ready to fall
It's a
off.
special meeting.
Wake up.
Well, I published because I assumed you wanted it done as soon as you could get it done.
Not too bad.
I think you asked me to do that, not to hold it up.
Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to call this. I got it. I'd like to take us out of recess and call this meeting back to order at about 9:23, 9:24. I make that motion. Do we have a second to that motion?
I'll second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, gentlemen, we have to go back to item F, the General Road and Bridge Fund. Motion to approve receipts and bills of the General Road and Bridge Fund. All right.
We, the undersigned members of the Mchenry Township Board of Trustees, certify that we on this 10th day of October 2019 examined and audited amounts due for the items specified in the claims attached and hereby authorize payment of the same. Total reimbursements to be approved, 0. Total bills to be approved, $176,098.51. Total bills paid prior to audit, $23,140.05. Total to be approved, $199,238.56. Total receipts, $6,013.81. I make a motion that we accept the receipts and pay the bills for the general road and bridge.
I'll second that motion. Any discussion?
Yes, I, in good conscience, I can't agree to the bill from Prime that appears on the General Road and Bridge Fund. I don't want that to be seen as the board authorizing this litigation to have
Okay.
any law struck down that's already been approved by an overwhelming number of legislatures and Senate and government.
Okay. I remind the board that if it's a legitimate expense, that the road district has the money to spend it, you don't have the right to disapprove of it, so I'm gonna remind you of that. Any other discussion? Okay, none being heard, let's have a roll call vote to approve. Adams, yes. Wojcicki?
Yes.
Rakestraw?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Veer?
Yes, except for the prime bills. I'd
Oh,
say
then
that-
you're a no. You can't just, you're either approving all or none, so.
No, that
Okay,
isn't how
fine,
it goes.
fine. Yes, except for the prime bill. We'll put that in.
Well, that has to be specially noted by the clerk.
Clerk, will you especially note that, please, that Mr. Veer has voted yes only on all the bills less the prime bill. And he's not authorizing payment on that. Okay, we have 4 yeses on all bills and 1 partial yes, so the motion passes. The township road and bridge bills are approved. Okay, after that, we only need adjournment, gentlemen.
I make the motion.
No, I'm not ready.
Okay.
Because, remember I told you for.
Oh, I'm sorry, board member comments, I'm sorry, I forgot.
Member's comment. My comments are about the special annual, the special meeting that was called here. And I went through the list of what the annual town meeting is. Jim, is there something different? When I read through this, I couldn't see anything on here that they could pass a resolution to move that money to where the supervisor could spend the money for senior people. There's like 38 on this annual town meeting. Would there be a different list for a special meeting? I don't have.
The provision within the statute says the list for that annual meeting also applies to special meetings. So it would be the same. There's a section in the statute that says.
But I couldn't find anything on there.
Let me take a quick.
To do that.
The section, and usually it's referred to as Article 30.
Can you do my?
I'm sorry. Usually, when you look to the electors test.
Just move it closer
No,
to you.
it's not. There, no.
Usually when you look to the elector's power, and I've mentioned it before in the past, you usually look at what is called Article 30 within the township code. And that's your significant amount of sections of the statute that deal with the elector's authority to do things. And this list is a great list that's also usually done and published out, and what it does is show the various provisions within the annual town meeting, and which also applies to special town meetings, because there's a section in the township code that says if you can do it in the annual meeting, you can also do the same thing in the special meeting. But the section that the electors brought is under 60 ILCS 1/220-15. And so I'm not sure, let me take a peek here to see in this list here. So that section, that particular statute may or may not be on this list. But that particular statute says whenever the elector is attending an annual or special township meeting determined. So that is a section of a statute in the township code, which is not specifically within the Article 30, which is kind of outside the realm, but the legislature put it in there, and I'm not seeing it directly on this list either. So if I was you, Bob, looking at this list, and I might not see this on here, but it is a provision.
You can send Bob that code, correct, if you'd like to, or the board.
I can.
Okay.
But Bob, looking at this list cursory right now, I don't see it on there.
So if this is the annual meeting, they couldn't pass that resolution because it's not on this list?
No,
Or what? This came out from TOR.
Yeah, that's a list that's prepared by them, trying to put, let me see the back. If there's, if there's, basically what it does is it attempts to show the powers of the electors at the special meeting or an annual meeting. In this particular case, for whatever reason, I don't believe the organization picked up this section. And there may be other ones. I haven't looked to see if they've caught them all, but I'm not seeing this particular one in there.
Well, that's not a legal document, that's just informational.
Correct.
Right?
Correct. They do it every year prior to the annual meeting. They just want to get that information out to the township and let them know those rights that are out there that they have. This section is this 220-15, which is not within that Article 30, but it is in there. I know there is a couple other miscellaneous ones that are outside that Article 30, but I'll be happy to circulate this to the board so that they have it as well.
Then, certain things that I followed up and are very troubling to me would be that, from when I sent you an email, Jim, it said that you didn't prepare or see the resolution for Friday night of September 20th, the night of the meeting. You didn't know where the $100,000 was going to come from or the amount of surplus. You said you were going to look into that.
Correct. So,
got back and
Bob, when you asked me those questions, I did not have anything to do with preparation of the ordinance or the resolution or look into the monies or any of that stuff yet. That is on my things to do to follow up with Craig as far as some of that question, but whether or not that money was available or not available, I don't know. I didn't have a budget. I didn't have an audit. I basically went to the meeting and I saw for the first time at that particular meeting the resolution.
So where did the $100,000 figure come from?
I can't speak to that. I don't know.
You can ask if you want, you can ask the person that proposed it.
Sure, John.
I went to the township, I don't have all my notes with me. I had them that night. I can bring them to you tomorrow if you like. He made most of the numbers from the website. I went to the budget that was approved back in March, I believe it was. And then I looked at last month's numbers. And I forget the total, he had a lot of money available. So we looked at the 57 grand that you had taken out. That was part of my calculations. And then we needed another $100,000. And there was enough money, more than enough money there to do that. If you like, I can come with all my numbers next meeting. Or, because I have my notes that night, I do not have with me now.
I'd like to hear that, yeah.
Yeah, I can show it to you, it's not a problem.
Right.
If you want to know the attorney I use, I can tell you as well.
And then another thing that was troubling me too, and I checked with the attorney, and according to the paper, there are plenty of people that show up at that meeting. You need 2/3 of the vote. But what's very troubling to me as a taxpayer is that meeting would only have an attendance, could have been, all you would have had an attendance of 15 people, that you have a minimum of 15 signatures. So the way this is set up with township government.
That's incorrect. The transfer money has to be 25 electors.
Right?
Has to be 25 to transfer monies, not 15. There's a different statute.
Okay, so there was 25, okay, so if it's 25, then it only take half of that to pass something, so you really have.
And I would take 2/3 of that.
2/3.
Or 2/3 of that. So what I'm getting at here is the way things are set up, even if you go to the 25, an awful lot of money can be transferred with only a handful of people out of the township. And with that being said, and I knew this could go on from some of the, when I used to attend those annual meetings and see how they're set up and how they're run. I'd like the board to think about that if you change things, you have to change the law. And I think that this board should look into that, because this is one of many things that is very troubling to me about township government, that you have an elected board and how much gets away from the elected board, which is supposed to run government. And I want the board at least to think about it, or sometime in the future, I'll bring it back up, that I think we should look into that to change that. See what we can do with the legislation, but it's very difficult to change laws. Everybody knows resistance of it, but if you don't start someplace, it continues. But I think you're putting in too much money in only a handful of people in the situation.
Okay, please don't. All right, thank you, Bob. Anything else?
Yes. it's, on the ethics situation, I went through the McHenry Township ethics ordinance. It says with the response of officers, employees, hours fixed, includes any period of time when the officer is on premise under the control of the employer, any time whether the officer or employee is executing his or her official duties regardless of location. There were some signatures that were collected here on the township property.
There were, I saw signatures being collected outside the township hall.
They're all inside here too.
Well, I don't, go ahead, John.
Yeah.
I didn't submit any of those signatures. If you look at the signatures, my name's not on there, Susan Rose is not on there. I have 2 pages that we did not turn in with petitions. It's for that reason.
Well, I got one here. Stan, you signed the petition. Did you sign it here?
It's outside.
Outside? On the outside coming in?
Yeah.
But he wasn't signed inside. But there were petitions inside.
Yeah, I didn't turn those petitions in.
Huh?
I did not turn those petitions in.
Oh, you didn't?
I did
Oh,
not.
they were signed here? You didn't
Yes, I
turn
did
them
not
in?
turn it in because Steve called me out on it.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Okay, because when I looked through this, that's political activity on
Correct.
on government property. Okay. And then, let's see here. For,
Ding, time's up.
It does say 1 minute. It
1
says
minute
1
per
minute.
comment.
Board
Oh,
says
well.
comment.
That was never.
Not board comments, I'm sorry. It's
Of course not. It says.
okay,
does it say that? It shouldn't if it does.
political
If it
activity
does,
here.
that's my error, I'm sorry.
Then number 15 on page 4, it's a participating in any recount or challenge of any outcome of any election. And there is, according to the Northwest Herald, there is a story about that the road commissioner, along with the road commissioner in London Township, has got declarative judgment against the law that just passed to put the question on the ballot about transferring, if there's a successful election, if the township would go to the county.
Hold on a second. I'd like to clarify that. They're not challenging the results, or they're challenging if the question is constitutional, which is not what that ethics question is saying.
Oh.
Okay? If they would.
But isn't it kind of a form of political activity against them?
Mr. Melto?
That would not be political activity. The road district, as well as the township, has the ability and capacity to sue or be sued. In this particular case, it's a declaratory judgment which provides for a judicial determination as to the constitutionality of a state statute and the impact that it has on the respective parties.
Okay, thank you. That's all I got. That's
Okay, nothing else being heard. Can we move for adjournment then?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, motion
I'll
adjourned. Seconded by Mr. Richter. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any nays? None heard. We are adjourned at 9:38.
I know. This is your, this is nice. Yeah. You want to talk tonight about the-
Sure, yeah, I do.
They were hoping we don't.
Jan, good night. Good night, just tell me when you're done. I want to, let me just talk to that when you're done. Wait, I got time to it.
Yes, it is.
I know, well, I know, but I have to say yours too.
Come on. I'm not here to answer questions from the board. Wait a minute.
at another level.
So there's no accountability.
Okay.
For the goose is good for the gander.
I agree that they should be short for 1 minute if we are.
Again,
I'm just saying because I'm here.
I'm make trouble.
I'm saying what's on the agenda.
Who's that? We need Mike. Dave, you gotta sign this. Is that one filled out?
Here, if I had one, if I had a comma off, you would have a fit about it. Yep. Just don't, just do your job.
Notes that I would understand if I too much later.
Paper clips together. Post-it notes.
Did you all want to meet him or is that? Oh, yeah, that's right.
Oh, I wanted to meet him for so long.
Okay, Jan, before I leave here, make sure that all my signatures are on.
Well, here's mine, the only one I have is you. Yeah, make sure you wear that shirt. Everybody's gonna sign.
As I'll ever be.
Here's why.
I'll do anything I want.
Dave. We need you on here too.
Do they have to do that though? Turn your hands back.
Simple. I decided this might be just, I don't know.
I think I'm good.
I'm surviving. I'm not a freeloader. I don't have other people stay on my bills.
Okay, so now we need you here too. Steve.
See, I'm one of those people that's not so happy.
May I?
I can't make sense of me with it. Yeah. No, I'm just saying, you know what they were me at is, I went for the property tax raise, right? So I got two adult kids that are in high school, so they work at McDonald's to pay their books and all that shit, that counts as a family income. So all of a sudden, I'm rich, I can't get the property tax raise, you see? So I guess if I threw them out on the curb, I could, right?
Steve, is it your?
What was the other one? They filed their own taxes? Well, they do their own taxes, but see, because they ask you, everybody that's living in the house. Who lives in the roof? No, that's the problem. They pay you rent. Well, then it's even more. It's two of them. No, but I'm just saying, you know, and they. Yeah, because you want to get signed on student loans, they're attaching their social security checks, you know what I mean? So. Not the sign the paper, they have to sign.
This is Golden Bridge.
Steve here.
Golden Bridge, okay.
Is this yours?
That's mine.
No.
Where's your stuff?
You got it.
So Stan, does that make sense?
Yeah, so
That's the one, that would
it makes sense.
Debbie had on.
Another thing that makes sense to me is like if you got insurance, and you're sick, like say you got a bad cold, you go to the
This is the one I
doctor,
read right
they
here.
fix you up for $100. But if you got cancer, insurance
Well, I know
company
what
pays
it's
$100,000. So aren't we supposed to be paying extra for the people that need it the most? And that nothing to do with it. Well, I think it does.
55 is not an entitlement.
It seems to me that most of the people that are using it,
Everybody should be. If that's what it is, it's an entitlement. Everybody should be able to use it. You shouldn't have to be handicapped.
Well, everybody can use it. No, that's 55 and over. Yeah, but don't you think that people who are 54 should be able to use it? No, they could use base. Well, same way, we can use base too. The whole thing is. Huh?
This year?
And there's services out there, Steve told you today, in the closed session. There's services. Why are we paying Pace to do something and then paying the township to do the same thing when we're not supposed to? You know, the thing about this, it comes down to.
Okay, I'm not going to go too far. Call on to the website. Call on the website. And look what you guys approved in March, because it showed how much money it was.
They did a good job.
There's some things I think
That's my opinion.
state, you would state.
I'm not gonna change that.
It's on the website that are,
If you're going to play bingo and you ask for money,
it is subtraction.
You know, just for your own information, why people think that you're cruel and rotten people. When you pick on the most defenseless people in the whole state, then guess what? You're considered a thoughtless piece of shit. That's what you people think.
Third of the year left. Right. So that's like $100,000. I want to make sure you get the money in there. I respect you for moving for your. Correct. That's what that one came back from. Yeah, came up a bit from there. That's something with the nominal. I had to make sure you had the money to do that.
You move from the state, what about you give it to you can take taxes. That's okay, that's not. That's not.
But if you do want to show me what's in it.
No, that's not.
That's fine. Be careful, gentlemen.